price. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in wash scent beads.
It's the dynamic duo of Al and Jerry, the superheroes of WFAN.
All right, real quick, Fleek. So big food debate on the show yesterday. Is that what was going on?
Yeah, so Boomer set it up earlier. He talked about ordering a burger or fries, and he laid out very clear parameters. If you order a burger and the fries come, they're on the plate, not in a little cup on the side, which some places do.
Fries on the plate.
The fries
okay.
are on the plate.
Yeah.
Do you put the ketchup on the plate or on the side and dip the fries, or do you pour the ketchup all over the fries and sometimes even use a fork to eat the ketchup?
No, you can't. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. Maybe disco fries with gravy and cheese or something like that.
Which did come up later when a caller brought them up. But yes, we
ketchup?
were all on the side of, yes, you dip the fries.
Right.
And then we put out the poll. And it was
like 90-10?
Like 91-9. And then Boomer started kind of moving the goalposts over and over.
Of course he was, right.
And then he's getting on Jerry because when he presented Jerry with a completely different scenario, Jerry had a different answer. But again, it was a entirely different scenario.
That's an odd take from Boomer right there. I mean, I've never seen the man eat French fries.
Well, and then he went to, everybody on Long Island puts mayo on their bacon, egg, and cheese, to which point a lot of Long Island residents called and tweeted and everything and said, absolutely not.
Not the case.
And then one guy
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Pretty embarrassing stuff here for the LA Lakers thus far. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And Perloff, I can't help but look at LeBron James here and think, this looks really, really bad for LeBron James. And I know a lot of people want to blame Rob Pelinka for the fact that Lakers have done absolutely zero in free agency despite a pretty long wish list. I think LeBron is the one who should be getting the ire of people. Good morning, by the way. How you doing?
Well, I don't understand this at all. LeBron, so is LeBron the shadow? If he's a shadow GM, why on earth would you trust him to be the shadow GM anyway? We've talked about this a million times. Yeah. Players can't choose other players. It never works. It never has worked. You're a big LeBron fan. Do you want him choosing the players? So why? I think it actually is the front office. I think LeBron's like, I don't want to do this crap. I have no interest in this particular roster. I think he might have said, hey, I will take less money if you sign these guys. But I don't think he's out there like calling other GMs and making these deals. It's on the front office.
He's calling Klay Thompson. We know that. It was reported he called Klay Thompson 6 o'clock Eastern time as soon as free agency opened up. And Klay just took a shorter deal reportedly for less money to go somewhere else and to go to the Dallas Mavericks. And he did it for 2 reasons. One, because the Mavs were in the finals last year, so the team's further along. But 2, he didn't want to pay the state taxes, so he's going to Texas. Also, the Lakers and the Warriors could not get a deal done because the Warriors don't want D'Angelo Russell. And
that's 3 already.
Okay.
Yeah. But wait, can I give a 4th? Also, he wouldn't start with the Lakers.
And that's another thing where the Mavericks are telling him he's going to start. Now, I don't know how for long. I mean, even the Warriors bench Klay at one point and had him coming off the bench. But this is another person who said no thank you specifically to LeBron. And please spare me, Perloff, that he's not the shadow GM. When he's the one making calls, it's him the one with the wish list, and everyone on this supposed list has spurned them. Not for better situations either. Maybe Klay, okay, but even going to $80 million for Klay would have been ridiculous anyway, and I think LeBron still wanted him, and he still said no. So it's embarrassing for LeBron no matter what.
You just gave 4 valid reasons that Klay Thompson could not be a Laker. Which, by the way, so where did LeBron screw that up? Like, that wasn't going to happen. Like, it's a much better fit to Dallas for multiple reasons. So why is that on LeBron?
Is it not embarrassing when the best or second best player of all time is calling you to recruit you and you say no?
No, of course not.
That totally reflects on LeBron. And let's talk about the other people on the list. Klay's just the latest. Klay's who's leaving the Bay Area, by the way, to go to the Mavericks, if you didn't hear that. Let's talk about James Harden.
Oh, geez. Let's talk about James Harden.
To stay with younger brother and to stay with little brother with the Clippers, who have like almost waved the white flag on any kind of relevance. Then you have Jonas Valanciunas, who was supposedly on the list, the big man who was formerly of the Pelicans, who signed in Washington for 3 years and $30 million. He signed with a team in Washington, D.C. that is the most irrelevant team in the league. And then let's talk about DeMar DeRozan, who's left on the list, who's somebody they could have had several years ago, but instead LeBron, again working as shadow GM, decided he wanted Russell Westbrook instead. They traded away Kyle Kuzma. They traded away Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They traded away guys who actually contributed to a championship team because LeBron wanted Russ. So please, and not to mention the J.J. Redick aspect of this, and not to mention the fact they just drafted Bronny. LeBron is running the team. So, like, we can point to Rob Pelinka has got to be, like, the guy who, like, explains the second apron to everybody in the CBA. LeBron's running the team. And even if he's not making the calls, Pearl, they are, like, making moves to try to keep him happy. Like, it's all so backwards in L.A. If I'm a fan of this team, I've got to just be out of my mind.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you want to stop and break down. So they did get James Harden, who just got signed 2 years, $70 million.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing.
They wanted him.
Who's
reportedly.
they? Who's they?
LeBron, he was on a list that LeBron wanted James Harden. So whether you think it's a good fit or not,
No.
wanted him.
Whether I think it's good for it or not, have you watched James Harden? I mean, honestly, like the Lakers it'd be a miracle for them to get older and slower and worse on defense to pay James Harden. I mean, Jesus. And Valanciunas is such a stiff. If somebody got in the way of that signing, thank God. And then DeRozan. And I'm sorry, DeMar DeRozan. Well, I'm sorry. Remember him in the finals? What? DeMar DeRozan? Like, what are you talking about?
Threes.
Like,
I don't know why they want him.
Well, first of all, because they need anybody now. But it's regardless, this obviously is not on LeBron. Like, this is a flawed roster in part because of LeBron. I don't know, like these moves that you think their front office or LeBron is screwing up. Honestly, thank God for them they didn't get Harden. Thank God they didn't get Valanciunas. And I don't know about Klay. Klay's not going to Like, why would Klay go to the Lakers? Like, what does that fit? That makes no sense.
Okay, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter for what I'm talking about and how the Lakers are embarrassed right now. It actually doesn't matter whether you and I think this is a great fit. It was a rather shallow class for free agency anyway. And the guys that reportedly from reputable sources, the people they were targeting have all said no for a variety of reasons. Maybe Klay's reasons were good. Yeah. Jonas Valanciunas' reasons were good. Like, why? Why can't you close the deal? And why can't they get even the fringe guys that they wanted to get?
I would like to see the offer or what the Lakers really thought of Valanciunas. But regardless, I mean, Harden
Wizards didn't think much of him.
Well, obviously, the Harden was when he got traded to the Clippers. They made a handshake agreement that we're going to re-sign you for this, and the Lakers in a million years could have come up with $35 million for James Harden. So that's out off the table. Okay. So that's not on LeBron. Valanciunas, I honestly think if LeBron really wanted him, somebody in the front office deserves the Nobel Prize for not signing him. And then Klay, I just think it's not LeBron's fault. Klay had a better opportunity. What's he supposed to do? And even if he is
him more years and more money,
even if he is a shadow GM, yeah. But Klay, for many reasons, I think. Many reasons, is better off going to Dallas than the Lakers. And I don't think that's LeBron's fault. I think if LeBron wanted him and made a call, it's not, yes, the second greatest player of all time calls you, but still, if you're Klay Thompson, I think you have to make an individual choice. So again, none of this is on LeBron.
More years, more money. Yeah. Like they went above and beyond what the Mavericks are doing. Reportedly, it was going to be 4 years, $80 million, as opposed to the 3 years, $50 that he signed with Dallas. Not to mention his dad is the radio color analyst on the team, and he's from Los Angeles. None of these things could convince Klay. Again, you and I might have think it was too much money. You and I may have thought that it's not a needle mover for the Lakers. Bottom line is they wanted him. He said no.
Right. For obvious reasons. So why are you blaming LeBron? Yeah, he wanted Klay. Klay had a better situation, so Klay took it. So what did LeBron do wrong?
He's trying to construct this roster, and everyone's saying no to him. And that's why this in-between middle ground that the Lakers occupy right now, where you don't know who's in charge. Is it Rob Pelinka? Is it Jeannie Buss? Is it the Rambuses? Is it anyone else? The Ramby? Is it anyone else in the front office? Is it actually LeBron? Is it actually Clutch? I remember a time a week and a half ago when you had Rich Paul, who's LeBron's agent, was out there saying if someone else drafts Bronny, we're sending him to Australia. Or basically dangling LeBron's free agency that if you don't draft Bronny, he's going to go somewhere else. It is such a vacuum. It's either a vacuum or too many cooks in the kitchen. I can't tell what it is with the Lakers. I'm not an insider, but all I can tell you is that their process has to be way off because they went into this offseason touting 3 first-round picks, and the fact that they wanted to get the roster better and that Anthony Davis wanted help and LeBron wanted help, and so far they've got bubkiss. So I don't know how you look at this and say it's not a failure for the Lakers. Does it end up maybe, is there another move to make? Is there a Jeremy Grant out there? Is there a Lauri Markkanen? I have no idea.
Well, Markkanen's not going there.
Maybe Warriors.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Right now, first 2 days of free agency, and even before that, I saw teams get better. I've seen now the Mavericks get better. I've seen OKC get better. I've seen Minnesota get better in the draft. I haven't seen the Lakers get better at all.
Yeah, but I think you're ignoring all those situations. Like those teams have flexibility and pieces, and OKC's in a completely different position. Lakers are an old sort of cap-strapped team. What are they supposed to do? And wait, you just said LeBron. You started off the segment by saying LeBron ran the team. Then you just said, I don't know who runs the team.
Well, I think LeBron is running the team shadow-wise.
He's not. But anyway.
Okay.
But then you said, I don't know who's in charge. So which is it?
Well, I think that it's either it is LeBron as the shadow GM, and I think the front office tries to guess what they want him, what's going to make him happy. And again, it's like, where's this lack of communication? You look at the moves on the outside, and you tell me who you think runs the team. Drafted Bronny, hired J.J. Redick, even though they struck out on Dan Hurley, so that's another embarrassing thing all around, but end up hiring LeBron's podcast partner. LeBron has a wish list. Hello? That tells you all you need to know.
Wait, and who did they sign from that wish list?
Nobody, and LeBron was making personal calls, and they still couldn't land the deal.
Right.
Who does it look like runs the team?
Not LeBron.
Really?
Because, LeBron had a wish list, and none of those players are on the wish. None of those players signed, so that means LeBron had no impact, right?
Well, I just think this is embarrassing for LeBron because he couldn't get anyone on the wish list. Why do you think Russell Westbrook was on the team ever?
I understand the Westbrook deal, but none of this, that's sunken cost. That happened. That was a mistake. They let LeBron choose Russell Westbrook. Huge mistake. I think they probably said, someone in that office said never again. And it makes more sense that if you say LeBron wanted these 4 guys and none of those guys are wearing a Lakers jersey, that means somebody else is running the team. I think Pelinka probably is really trying to influence this. I think that's why he tried to hire Danny Hurley, so he didn't have LeBron in there. I remember we had a guest. Was it Anthony Irwin or somebody said that Linda Rambis was the only one who came in and said, we don't want LeBron to have too much influence on this team. So I do think there's a push and a pull where the front office is like, we do not want to do what LeBron says. That's probably one of the reasons none of these guys are in a Lakers jersey, except for all these. You described 4 terrible situations.
Well, hold on. Let's think. What Anthony Irwin told us was not exactly that. He said that Linda Rambis was the only person who raised her hand in a meeting and said J.J. Redick has no coaching experience.
No. She said that it might not be a good idea to have somebody who is a LeBron influencer in the head coaching position.
Okay, well, who got hired?
J.J., because they couldn't get their guy.
Okay, but again, they didn't go with Borrego. They didn't go with Kenny Atkinson. They end up going with LeBron's guys. So I think his influence on this franchise, it just can't be overstated.
Well, you say these things like there's no salary cap and what the heck are they supposed to do? LeBron's like, maybe you can get these guys, but you can't. Some of these players, James Harden, for example, was never happening, so it's sort of irrelevant. I think if LeBron is a GM, that's a wish list. It sounds like me building a fantasy football team. LeBron's not going to get this. He's in a really tricky situation with the Lakers. So I don't blame him. That's my point. Even if he's a shadow GM or he wants these guys, the Lakers haven't necessarily done anything wrong here. Signing Klay would be a huge mistake. Everyone knows that.
So if LeBron is not the person to blame here, and
there's no blame, but okay.
Okay. So, but then why isn't the team better?
Because they're paying. They're going to have to pay LeBron a ton of money. They're paying AD a ton of money. They have D'Angelo Russell, who nobody wants. They're at a tough spot.
Whose fault is it that D'Angelo Russell is there? The team, you can't how did this roster get assembled? If you don't want to blame LeBron, you're gonna blame nobody. Who signed D'Angelo Russell? Who brought him back?
The Lakers.
So Rob Pelinka. So you do have someone to blame.
Yeah,
because if you think he put together the roster, well, the roster doesn't have pieces that are that anyone really wants, unless I guess Austin Reeves, who they don't want to part with.
Yeah.
So they don't have great assets. And you're right, they're paying guys at LeBron and Anthony Davis. But that's the other ridiculous thing about this. LeBron's willing to take a pay cut if they can land guys, but if they can't, forget it. The pay cut's gone. So then it's still going to hamstring them with this first apron, second apron stuff where they're going to have trouble making trades. So again, LeBron, tell me how LeBron's not running the team. He's like, has them by the you-know-what.
Well, how do I don't understand though. So, for example, he said, I will take a pay cut if you get these guys. But if you don't get these guys, then he might as well take the money because the money's not going anywhere anyway. Like once they strike out on everybody, like that money either just goes away or goes to LeBron. So he might as well take it.
But if you leave, you don't have to spend up to your max. And if you leave a little of the powder dry, so to speak, then doesn't it allow you to have a little bit more flexibility down the road?
As I understand it, like the LeBron money will not, like once they don't get anyone this year, like that money just goes away unless it goes to LeBron for all intents and purposes. It's not like there's another huge move coming.
I don't know. I think if you're a Laker fan, you have to feel a little like the Dallas Cowboy fan a little bit, where you were kind of told, maybe not all in like Jerry said, but you were kind of told like, hey, we've got 3 first-round picks. Yep. We're going to make a move, and then you've got nothing to show for it 2 days into free agency. And it's got to be super frustrating. And I think your ire should be with LeBron, because I think he runs the team. And in a shadow way. Like, yeah, he can't call another general manager, but I think they make moves based on what they think he wants. And
well, if that's the case, then why are these guys not on the team?
Well, I think this is why it's embarrassing for LeBron, because I think they're striking out on these guys.
JJ Redick couldn't do anything?
Can JJ have any kind of influence?
Doubt like the soothsayer of the team?
He got here 5 minutes ago. By the way, I think this takes a little of the pressure off JJ. Imagine if they had added another star. The expectations get ratcheted up even more, which even puts more pressure on JJ to make it work with multiple egos.
Well, with Klay, that probably would have been an issue. Not with Valanciunas, but because Valanciunas is a role player. But I think that it's going to be a huge pressure on JJ anyway. And I don't think any of these players are going to help the Lakers win a lot of games. I mean, none of that. I assume they're like 10th in championship odds. Any player you name there is not going to push them up.
No, I'm saying if they had like traded for Trae Young or something like that. If they'd even gotten Harden, which is another, personality that you have to deal with.
Trae Young and Harden, do you even get better, or does your win total go down with either of those guys? But regardless, I just think that JJ is going to be under a huge microscope because LeBron James is there. It doesn't matter. I think there's enough star power to blame JJ if it goes wrong. I don't think that they need, adding Klay Thompson. Everyone's like, oh, he is Klay Thompson. Like, let's kill JJ. I think JJ is going to be in big trouble this year if they lose.
Okay, so you don't want to give out any blame, or are you willing to say that these first 2 days have been disappointing for the Lakers for free agency? You're not willing to go there.
No, I mean, honestly, like this, everybody is, they do this in the NFL too. Everyone is so vastly overrating these free agent moves. Like there's a reason guys get the free agent. These people are super flawed. They're old, they're injury prone, they're expensive. In 3 years, we're going to be like, oh man, we're going to attach a first round pick to get rid of this contract. Yeah, a lot of like the reaction to free agency is ridiculous. Like you're saying, man, LeBron screwed up by not getting James Harden to the Lakers. Like, there's two sides of the court. No. There's an offense and a defense. Like that'd be a terrible combination of players.
I never said they screwed up. I said they wanted him and didn't get him, and that's embarrassing. Whether I think it's a good fit or not, the reality is he was on a list, and he's still playing for the Clippers, and he's not playing for the Lakers. And the thing is, about 3 years from now, if these are bad contracts, 3 years from now, LeBron's probably not in the league. So what does he care?
Well,
he's trying to win a title now, allegedly.
You add, say, James Harden, like you have no chance in the playoffs because he's going to go 1 for 17 and take those shots away from the other players.
Not the point. Not the point of this argument. Not the point. You hate James Harden. I get it. You had to watch him in Philly. He was a disaster. But here's the thing. They wanted him, allegedly. So I'm talking about what the Lakers reportedly wanted, and these people still said no.
Actually, you sure? The other guys they definitely wanted. Harden was a little different. Right. Did the Lakers really want Harden?
He was on the short list. So if you're going to believe one name on the list, don't you have to believe them all?
No, I don't believe it. Yeah, LeBron said these names. Like you're saying, see, the basic difference is like you think that LeBron list was some gospel that the Lakers. You're saying LeBron is the front office, and I totally disagree.
Yeah, I think he's the shadow GM here. 855-212-4227. All right, you're welcome to weigh in. If you are blaming the lack of action, I guess, on anyone of the Lakers, who would it be? The fact this team has not gotten better. Do you assign any blame? Is it Pelinka? Is it LeBron? Is there a fourth person? that we could possibly put in here? 855-212-4227. All right, Lakers, get us going. Of course, we've got the Warriors side of the Klay Thompson. It's technically a sign-and trade where he ends up going to the Dallas Mavericks. So we've got that for you. We've got major shakeups with the reigning champs as well. And don't worry, plenty of football to get to on this Tuesday show. It is Maggie Perloff, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Heated debate about the Lakers. Are they screwing up by not signing these fossil free agents like Klay Thompson and James Harden? By the way, Klay Thompson, everyone's like, oh, this is a guaranteed home run in Dallas because there's so many open shots because everyone's covering Luka. I think it's going to be a little tricky. He's used to the best offense in the league. Everyone runs around, moves, screens, passing. What's going to happen when Kyrie takes 19 out of 24 seconds of the 24-second clock? Klay Thompson's standing in the corner. I think it's going to be
exactly where he should be, right? Isn't that the best option?
No, I mean, I just think the Warriors are the ultimate offense, and the Mavericks are the most, the slowest, heaviest usage offense. Like, basically, he's going to sit there watching Kyrie and Luka dribble a lot. I'm not sure that that's going to be super fun for Klay at first. It's going to be an adjustment. I'm not so sure this is a home run that everyone thinks for the Mavericks.
Listen, I don't know if it's going to be. He'll get open shots. He can still shoot. His defense isn't as good as it once was. The passing is not really Klay's thing. The rebounding was never really Klay's thing. Maybe passing a little bit more than rebounding. But if he can hit an open shot, like they got rid of Josh Green yesterday in the sign and trade. He was at one point the only one who could hit a shot in one of those finals games. I forgot which one it was. Game 3, Game 4, whatever it was. I mean, he was like the whole offense and in the first half. And so, yeah, I think Klay will definitely be valuable. But that's not what the big debate is about today. The big debate is about not whether the Lakers are messing up by not getting any of these players. The big debate is who actually runs the Lakers. Because I think LeBron James is really the shadow GM, and you think it's really just, what the masthead says. It's Rob Pelinka who's the GM. Let's go to George. He's in L.A. George, are you a frustrated Laker fan or are you a patient Laker fan?
All the above. Good morning, guys. It's been a while since we discussed the Rams. Anyway, with the Lakers, LeBron is a shadow GM. Let's face it. He got his son. He got his coach. But I think they put a stop to it inadvertently a little bit too late. And it's like there's a lot of blame to go around between Mrs. Buss and LeBron and the other person you talked about, the ex-player's wife. But anyway, I think it's quite embarrassing for L.A. and the Lakers' image and their legacy. And LeBron, like you said, it's not going to be there in a few years. So they got 3 first-round picks. If they don't get it right this year, it's going to be very embarrassing for a long time.
Yeah, George, and appreciate the phone call, and we'll check in on your Rams in just a little bit.
What do you mean embarrassing? Like, so if they don't compete for a title, it's embarrassing for late LeBron, or is it just like sort of late career Kobe, where it's just gonna be, hey, let's make the playoffs and everybody sell tickets, and like, what's the expectation here for LeBron GM?
Well, late career Kobe didn't have Anthony Davis.
Was Gasol long gone at that point? I don't even remember.
He had been retired. So
Gasol was gone. So who did late career? So there was just basically no one on the team except Kobe.
Well, this was a very different team.
Oh, did they bring in Nash and Howard? Was that?
And that was a disaster.
Yeah. So they tried. They tried, but I don't know. LeBron, by staying in the Lakers, said, "I'm okay with where we are." Right? He's okay to just be a playoff team.
Are they that?
Well, yeah, I think they're a playoff team. I think they're in a way better than the Warriors.
Okay, that's one team maybe that they're better than.
I think they could easily be a 6, 7, 8 team for sure. After the All-Star break, they were the second best team in the league. Yeah, they'll win some regular season games. I just don't think that they really are built to get out of the West anymore.
Well, here's the thing, though. They didn't win enough regular season games to avoid the play-in last year.
Right, but they were terrible the first half of the season because Darvin Ham was playing the wrong guys.
Well, then they won the in-season tournaments, and they got their acts together, and then they totally crumbled after that. Remember, they had like a hangover from that in-season tournament. It took a while to regroup.
But the second half of the season, they were really good.
Yeah, again, but not enough to avoid the play-in. And this is with LeBron playing tons of games, Anthony Davis with unprecedented health. I mean, do you think those two things are going to stay? Anyway, we're asking you, who do you think actually runs the Lakers? Because if you're going to sign blame, if you feel the need to do that after the first couple days of free agency, then who should be blamed? Is it actually Rob Pelinka, the GM, or is it LeBron who I believe is the shadow GM. You can go to @Maggie Pearl on X, and you can vote on our poll.
Can we have a third person, Father Time? Is the fact that LeBron's 40 years old? Oh, yes, it does. And that will be the storyline of the year. I see LeBron, not young.
Well, he's going to be 40 in December.
Yeah, I think that's the most important number. You can give me all the first and he played good last year.
Yeah.
You give me all the first and second apron numbers you want. That number is the key number for the Lakers.
Well, that's also why LeBron felt like he needed more help. And so far, they haven't gotten any.
And I want my damn respect, too.
Yeah.
And that also. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got headlines for us because people are up in arms about the U.S. men's national team totally crashing out of the Copa last night.
Yeah, it's all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com. Yes, U.S.
The
men's
person you talked about, the ex-player's wife.
Soccer is out of Copa America. The first time ever it fails to survive the group stage of a major event it is hosting, all thanks to a 1-0 loss to Uruguay in Kansas City and Panama beating Bolivia 3-1. Head coach, for now, Greg Berhalter.
We should have done better. And, we'll do a review and figure out what went wrong, why it went wrong. But I think it's, it's an empty feeling right now for sure.
U.S. Soccer said it would do a full review of the program after the disappointment. That would include Berhalter's job status. It's almost unanimous outside the program that they need a coaching change.
I'll volunteer.
Is that social media or just former players?
That is social media. It's former players in the media, people on TV, people that write about soccer. It's 75 matches. It's 5 years. It's the same storyline after every major event.
Right,
if
not
I
enough
know,
offense.
If me as a second grade soccer fan, me like first grade, second grade, third grade, if I know that you need to go, you need to go.
So here's my question about the U.S. men's national team in general. Is this one of the most disappointing teams we have? Because we just were in the World Cup in 2022, and we made it to the knockout stage. We got eliminated by the Netherlands, who are like light years ahead of us in soccer. So I don't think there's any shame in that.
No.
But at the same time, I feel like this team is always falling short of expectations. Am I wrong about that?
No, and that's the problem. Like it never, because people would have been okay. You survive the group stage. You lose your next match to a South American power. Like they played Uruguay in the next round and lost to them. People would have been okay. That was disappointing, but like that's the way it's still supposed to go. Here's where we need to get better, A, B, and C. But this is once again. They should never been in the position that they were in last night to need so much help and so many good results to advance because they just can't get out of their own way. There's always some self-created landmine that they step on.
Right. They're not organized.
They have bad starts. They make one critical mistake. They are not creative or efficient on offense. So even their first game of this tournament, they should have won by more than 2-0 because goal differential matters. So only winning 2-0 was a problem. They should have at least tied their second match, even though they played down a man. And because they didn't do either one of those things, they needed a lot of things to go their way last night.
Right.
And while they did play well, they didn't play well enough, didn't get any help, and now they're done again. And all of the major problems still exist.
But Bogusch, I have a question.
Time.
And why?
And the ref screwed him.
Why are you blaming the coach or the manager and not like the American system? Like maybe every other manager's kind of come up short too. Maybe it's more systematic, like behind the scenes American soccer.
So it is. There is definitely a systematic or what's the right word? Systemic issue here that the right kind of players are not getting picked and then developed. Or
Developed too.
Correctly.
We're not developed.
It's funny because the irony is the women are awesome. They win all the time. I know it's maybe a little bit different.
They didn't win the last time, and they changed their coach.
Right, but they had won, the three in a row before that?
But is it the same dynamic? Because there's many competitive, well-funded women's teams around the world as there are men's teams?
Well, there are now, and now the women don't win all the time.
Right, but it's not like it's a little different, right? Anyway, I don't know.
But if you're talking about developing players, right? Like you would think that system would be kind of similar on the men's and the women's side in terms of player development, no?
What I can understand,
I don't think so, no.
I mean, this is an ignorant question, but I've asked it and I keep asking it. Like in this country, which is a melting pot of the entire world, and people that come here from places that play soccer traditionally know the game, I don't understand how we have not stumbled on our Messi, our Ronaldo. Christian Pulisic is a world-class player, but he's not that kind of player. Like, how
Clint Dempsey was not that guy.
Right, like, how have we not just had this otherworldly talent by now?
Because they're
playing soccer.
Because they're the starting cornerback on the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, but so then that's the same problem that like baseball can have at certain times. Like, but yes, the system is an issue. But for this team on the smaller level, this is not the right coach to get the most out of what should be the most talented team we've maybe ever had from top to bottom, based on where they're like everyone plays in Europe on this team, which is not normally the case. This team is supposed to be better than it is, and it never is. And the number one reason appears to be the head coach.
All right, we'll get him out.
Was that, by the way, the Uruguay? Is that the same Luis Suarez who's
bites people?
Been playing for about 150 years?
Yeah.
He's still on Uruguay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plays right in Miami.
Why is Uruguay so good? I was like these countries.
Luis Suarez.
But
here's the thing, like
they're so tiny compared to the U.S.
Yes.
and they have like 6 players who, I mean, they were obviously the better team last night.
They showed the graphic last night. The U.S. population is 340 million. Uruguay's is 3.4.
Yeah,
and
they
don't have Luis Suarez.
But it wasn't even him. They were overwhelmingly more talented than the U.S. They were controlling the whole game.
Yeah. The U.S. was better in the first half. The beginning of the game, the U.S. was really, really good.
That's a big population difference.
Huge.
Have you guys seen some of the salaries that are being given out in the NBA? Who would play soccer?
Have you seen what soccer salaries are?
No, I know, but do you have to be that great? This is, you can be like Isaiah Hartenstein. I know he's not going to play soccer, and you're going to be getting bank for the rest of your life.
Well, the one
you
thing
have to
about
be just good in the NBA.
But the soccer, you could be any size and play. You can be short. So NBA automatically knocks out 99% of the population because you have to be huge.
That's true. But I'm thinking like Drew Holiday. You don't think that if in a different life he could have been like one of the great soccer players of all time?
But they're 6'4". Like, what position? Isn't that kind of tall?
Yeah, you'd probably play defense or you'd be a striker, a guy that scores.
Like Zidane. Anyway, yeah, I hear what you're saying. So you're saying less football and basketball, that's the best way to get soccer good?
You don't think Denzel Ward could have been like this great soccer player of all time if he had just come up in the pipeline? I'm just talking about great athletes with great feet.
I think you're right. Like these, Uruguay does not have competing sports, right?
Probably not.
Yeah. Listen, the Uruguay American football team is weak. I think we could put the Infinity Sports Radio Network could put up a team to beat them.
Jack.
No, we can beat Uruguay.
No, we can't.
They don't even know the
anybody
rules.
Else. Stop.
No more teams.
We don't have expendable people.
We can't beat like a bunch of people who just came out who were probably half drunk at some charity kickball game. We had trouble with that.
Let's jump to basketball. The Sixers couldn't sign everybody yesterday. Nico Batum returning to the Clippers, 2 years at $9.6 million. And congrats to our old friend Goga Batadze. He re-signs with the Magic, 3 years and $25 million.
He signed yesterday. What's the deal with that guy again? Did we do a bunch of content on him? I couldn't remember why.
I do not
Maggie,
remember.
you and I in the afternoon show, we had like a Gogo Batadze day. I cannot. It was like a viral tweet or something. There was something.
I think he got dunked on, maybe.
I don't know what it was,
but
but
nobody showed up to his press conference.
No, that wasn't
Zion.
it. Maybe it's just there's a guy named Gogo Batadze was enough. But that tweet came through. I'm like, oh, Gogo Batadze. I think Maggie and I had fun with him for a day, and I cannot for the life of me remember why.
I got to be honest. Every time we leave the studio for a day, it's like my brain erases, like Men in Black style. But this is sounding vaguely familiar.
Yeah, yesterday, so the first day of free agency had a lot of big signings. There were some names that I've never heard in my entire life signed yesterday.
And people that apparently were good signings. Like, oh, they got him. He can play if you say so.
I know. I feel like we all, like in teams that we just watch, it's like, oh, the Mavs re-signed this guy. I'm like, I just watched the finals. I never saw that guy play.
Who was it? The Thunder re-signed somebody who has almost has the actual name. Aaron who?
Wiggins.
Yeah, Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah, Aaron
I'm like,
Wiggins. Sure.
Wait, isn't it Andrew Wiggins?
I know.
What is that?
I know.
I've read it 3 times. Like, Aaron Wiggins? And he plays minutes in the NBA? Okay. Congrats. Good job, Thunder.
You know who signed yesterday? Buddy Boeheim signed a contract with the Pistons.
I'm sure he did.
I mean, this is...
How about your guy Tobias Harris signing with the Pistons?
We got that. I mean, geez Louise.
My gym buddy.
Gogo Batadze.
Listen, it's a frenzy out there, and the Lakers are sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They couldn't even get Gogo Batazzi.
I don't think
day.
I think the NBA just has so much money to hand out that they're just finding random European dudes off the street and giving them contracts.
How much money did Isaiah Joe get?
Oh, I couldn't believe that was one. I was
got
like,
a lot
wait,
of money.
what?
Yeah.
And that was, again, another direct from the agent tweet from Shams. It's like, sharpshooter, Isaiah Joe. It's like, come on.
When they start naming the agent. I'm
Also,
like,
too, are all these deals like, it's like, do they lie about the money like NFL agents?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like NFL agents.
Although I guess the NBA is a little more scientific. Like your deal is kind of your deal. All those max extensions are based on a formula. So there's not that much room to fudge. The only thing I think they can do in the NBA is they give you the utter max value, not what it starts at. And all those things are attached to like all NBA and winning individual awards that can bump up your salary. So sometimes they tell you the whole thing that you're never actually gonna earn.
Yeah, it's basically the GDP of a small country. It's like Uruguay's GDP. That's just now going to Jayson Tatum.
Unbelievable.
Congratulations, Tatum.
The New York Mets had themselves a Monday. On the field, they and the Nationals were 3-3 after 9 in D.C.
0-2 the count. Harvey ready. He delivers. Swung on, hit in the air, deep center field. Young drifting back to the warning track. Turns at the wall. Gone! Go ahead. 3-run home run. J.D. Martinez.
Pat McCarthy on Mets radio. New York added 3 more, a 6-run lead, which became a 2-run win, 9-7. Washington got the winning run to the plate in the bottom of the 10th. Before all of that, Mets outfielder Brandon Nimmo fainted in the bathroom of his hotel room, cut open his forehead on the toilet.
I've never had anything like this happen where I just blacked out, and I literally cannot tell you what happened. I don't know.
Nimmo blaming...
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This dude should be in a hospital being observed somewhere.
A
A 31-year-old in perfect health, allegedly, who went to the bathroom at 5 o'clock in the morning, blacked out, hit his head on a sink, and then he's just at the ballpark with a Band-Aid on his forehead being like, I don't know, guys. Wild. Like, you should be getting every test imaginable.
He did go to the hospital. So, and said everything checked out fine. He said he was dehydrated and had like a stomach bug. I haven't fainted, but I've gotten like up too fast when I'm not feeling well, and you gotta takes a second to
that
steady
happens.
yourself.
Yeah,
Okay, but was he not
dehydrated.
feeling well? Okay, so he's dehydrated. Okay,
Yeah.
he's also again. This is the weird thing. I think Brandon Nimmo might also be a little bit of it, maybe not. Do you remember when he got the food poisoning?
Yes, he also recently missed a game or whatever, because he just was randomly being checked for a concussion.
Maybe there's something a little bit more here.
Right.
But he got food poisoning because he didn't cook chicken long enough.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's a
Imagine
Wyoming
how
thing.
bad that must be.
He's from Wyoming. They do weird things.
You think they eat raw chicken in Wyoming?
Perloff eats it in New Jersey.
I was wondering,
Brooklyn,
when I saw the headline, my first thought, because I don't really know much about Brandon Nimmo, I was like, oh, is he a partier and this something actually different happened? So this was a real medical thing. But people do, we had a friend who got a tummy thing, and they fainted in the bathroom, and their partner had to carry them basically to the emergency room.
Wait, this is a friend of ours?
No, a friend of our family's, my family.
I was going to say, spill
the
it.
dehydration, fainting, passing out thing, that's a real thing.
Well, he's lucky he didn't get hurt worse.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely lucky, but I'm just surprised, too, about even just, I know they've been playing a lot of extra inning games, but the dehydration,
Extra-inning baseball games.
Sunday, they had an oddly long game. Flying dehydrates you. If he had a stomach thing and he was on the toilet a lot, that dehydrates you. If you don't take care of yourself, if he's not drinking enough, you can
die.
It can get bad quick enough. Fainting is still, and especially what was odd to me, he tells the story, he was on his feet for a long time before fainting. He said he got up, he went to the bathroom, he went to the sink, and then he went back. So it wasn't like he got out of bed too fast and fainted right away because things were out of whack. He was on his feet and then fainted. But that's the worst place to fall, in the bathroom. Everything in the bathroom is dangerous.
It's just sharp object after sharp object.
Hard object. It's crazy.
Tough. No, but he's not a partier. He's a very religious guy, actually from Wyoming.
So it's not a Brian Greasy tripping over his dog situation.
No, it's not a lie.
Okay. Yeah. I love those stories. Yeah.
Baseball's full of them.
When I interned in Boston, there was a story about a Red Sox reliever that was drunk, fell out of bed onto the beer bottles that he was drinking and cut his whole side of his butt and thigh, and that's had to make up a reason why he needed 40 stitches in the top of his leg in the middle of the night.
I appreciate guys like David Cohn who are still sticking with the dog bit his hand thing after all these years. Way to commit to the bit.
Was it which Rocky shortstop initially lied about carrying a deer up the stairs in his house and he fell and broke his collarbone? Was it Clint Barmas? It wasn't Tulowitzki. He was one of those guys in that era when they just rapid fire amazing shortstops.
Yeah.
Oh, so do you think those were fakes?
I think someone burned their hand on an iron in the hotel room too, that kind of stuff. Oh, was that was John Smoltz?
Yeah,
right.
But the most famous one, Irving Fryer, missed the Super Bowl because he cut his hand on a bagel. It just happened to have these horrible domestic disputes going on. I generally don't believe anything. I'm glad you guys tell me Brandon Nemo is a nice guy. Now I don't have to say, what really happened.
Well, I mean, if he's got a dark side, that would be news to everybody.
His dark side was having an extra chocolate milk probably before bed last night. And P.S. Apparently Mrs. Nimmo not happy with our friends over on the Fan because they were making jokes about
he tripped
passing
over
out.
A stripper?
No, just passing out naked in the bathroom and being found in a very embarrassing way. And apparently people
got back to
the
Mrs.
Nimmo
Nimmo
family did not appreciate any laughter about the situation.
Well, yeah, considering the guy might have a concussion, I get it, but also, lighten up. Thank you, Bogusch. 855-212-4227. They don't seem like people who would take a joke.
Wasn't Nimmo joking about it, though?
I don't know.
I thought he was. So, I don't know. I'm going to go crazy all over the Fan guys. I would get checked.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, we've got lots more to do, including someone else not happy with their contract down in Miami. Will it matter with the Dolphins? We'll tell you about it next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Okay, this is Boomers. This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports.
About Tom Brady and a roast on that day. He's angry and he's speaking his mind, saying Brady was out of line. Should've known better, should've thought twice before agreeing to that roast. It ain't right, talking about his ex-wife. left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, can't believe his eyes. But Bogusch stuck at home, his heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogusch left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake. For goodness sake. Bogusch counting the minutes, ticking like a clock. While Perloff's cruising highways, Hilarion talk.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, mornings here on Infinity Sports Network. So we take a break from basketball free agency for a second to update you on the latest wide receiver who's upset about a contract. It is not CeeDee Lamb, Perloff, although we have news on the Cowboys wide receiver for later on in the show. This time it is Tyreek Hill, who is looking around at the rest of the wide receiver market, and, well, he's seeing it skyrocket.
I'm very excited to, just be a part of, the old wave, which was, $30 million, and Justin Jefferson came and surpassed that, man. So very, proud of those guys, happy for, obviously, my teammate Waddle, getting his new deal. For guys like me, that's great. I'm 30 years old, also looking for a new deal. So very, very excited to see where, I fit in to that category.
Right.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, quite interesting. So Tyreek Hill's 30 years old, Pearl. There's an out after this year, after the 2024 season, which was a 3-year, $73 million deal, I believe. But anyway, He's looking for a new deal. At $30 million, does he have the leverage over the Dolphins to actually get a new deal?
Well, this is why everyone yells at the Cowboys for not getting deals done early. This is what happens when you get a deal done early. The guy just wants to rip it up when the market gets higher anyway. So it's a tricky thing. I don't think he does. Listen, he obviously fell off last year after he got hurt. He was a completely different player. So I think the Dolphins have to be realistic. I think it's here's the question.
Yeah.
And really, I'm going to throw a question back at you.
Okay.
When you say, does he have leverage, are the Dolphins in a win-now-only mode? If that's the case, then maybe he has some leverage where they could basically be like Super Bowl or bust. If they're looking long-term and they say, like, okay, I have to do this over 3 or 4 years and be a good team moving forward, because they probably, I assume, are going to pay Tua, where they have to have a 4-year window for Tua, then I'd say he has less leverage. So it all depends on where you think this team is. Personally, I would go a little more long-term. I would not just rip up the whole contract and put $50 million of cap space, or not 50, but $40 million a year into Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I would be more cautious. I'd let it play out. Dak Prescott style.
Well, careful with that. I think inside that building, they believe they are a Super Bowl team. Now, maybe it's a little delusion, but there's really nothing that I can see from the Dolphins this offseason that would make me think that they're not a win-now team, or they don't believe that they're a win-now team beyond, I guess, Christian Wilkins leaving to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. But it's not like
they lost a bunch of guys. They lost Van Ginkel, right? He's somewhere.
Van Ginkel did leave also, but this is a year after they signed David Long Jr.
Yeah, who's old.
But they signed him in free agency, and that was touted as a really good signing. They also have Jalen Ramsey still. Like, they still have some stars here, and that's just on the defensive side. On offense, they paid Jalen Waddle. I mean, do you really, you have your offensive line, I think if they can stay healthy, should be fine. You're bringing in like Jonnu Smith. I don't know, Pearl. I think that they believe that they are a contender right now.
Yeah,
they basically almost had the number 1 seed in the AFC for a while until things really just sort of fell off at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think is I didn't really buy it in the sense that they were awesome. Obviously, the numbers out there, they were 10-1 against non-playoff teams and 1-5 against playoff teams. Like, yeah, they were beating up the Broncos. What does that really mean? It was hard to tell. It was always like, oh, yeah, the Dolphins are explosive, but can they do it against a good defense? And the answer has always been no.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about that is, when your Philadelphia Eagles got to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, that was a major criticism, that they really didn't play anybody. They didn't play a lot of really good quarterbacks throughout that run. And then they put it together in the postseason, and they made a run to the Super Bowl.
But they were 1-5 against. I mean, they barely lost any games. Like, the Dolphins' offense just basically slow down to molasses when they went against good defenses.
Okay, well, the other part is you mentioned Tyreek Hill getting hurt towards the end of the year. So does that give him more leverage? He's someone who wants a new deal. Does he say, look at what the offense was when not only A-Chain got hurt and got banged up in the season, but also look what happened when I went out.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I deserve all this money.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tyreek Hill is a freak. Like, he probably will age better than any wide receiver we've ever seen in our lives. So there's definitely, like, you want to keep him. But if they're a Super Bowl or bust in Miami, I think you're in the wrong mindset.
I wonder if Miami doesn't win a playoff game this year, if everyone's getting fired. I think they believe they are a Super Bowl contender. 855-212-4227. Coming up next, are the Warriors over?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I saw the headlines, Perloff. Klay leaves the Bay. End of an era. Welcome to the show, Maggie. Great, Andrew Perloff. We knew it was heading this way, but it became more official yesterday with Klay Thompson agreeing to join the Dallas Mavericks. It's a 3-year, $50 million deal. It's all according to ESPN. It's a sign-and trade that sends Josh Green to the Charlotte Hornets and 2 second-round picks to the Warriors, and a $16 million tax exemption, I believe, as well. So that's it. Splash Brothers are no more, Perloff, and you have to wonder, we can talk about this from the Mavericks' point of view for sure because they were in the finals, but also for the Warriors, what move is left to try to salvage this thing and really try to maximize the end of Steph Curry's career?
None. There's this rumor that they want Lauri Markkanen. Yeah, no duh, they want him, but there's no way. How would they get the assets to get this guy, and then they're going to pay him? And I think they're a very smart organization, right? I think they're secretly thinking about the next steps. I think they're going to all right, we'll give 3 more years of maybe being a play-in team with Steph, and then boom, we're going to hit him again with a new dynasty.
Okay, wait, so you're thinking they have basically conceded that
Yes.
they can't win anymore with Steph Curry, and this is a white flag moment.
They
and
can
we're
win
just
a play-
playing out the string.
Yeah, they could be a playoff team, but no, there's no title in this mix.
Man, isn't that disappointing, though?
How so?
Because Steph Curry is the type of player whose game ages well. First of all, he does keep himself in incredible shape.
Right.
He's never been this amazing defensive player anyway. We kind of understand that about Steph Curry. Size maybe, but also just because that's, he's so brilliant on the offensive end. His range is unlimited. Like, this is the kind of player who, if anybody could rip off another title, we saw him do it in 2022. Why not put the right kind of guys around Steph? He's like a drama-free, sharp shooter who's as invested as ever. You don't have to worry about a wandering eye, production company, stuff like that. Like, is he in it for the right reasons, or is he just in it to be a star still? Steph is all the reasons you'd want to keep competitive, no?
Yeah, of course you would. But there's something called the salary cap in the NBA. So what the heck are you supposed to do? Yeah, of course you want to win a title with Klay, but with Steph, how would you possibly do that the way the NBA is set up? There's just no way they can. Who are they going to bring in to help them?
Well, they tried to bring in Paul George. So, in a way, they were saying we would have enough money through a sign-in trade to get Paul George on the roster.
But even Paul George, he goes, what? They go from 9th best team in the West to 5th best team in the West. That's still a very old team who is way shorter than everybody else in the Western Conference playoffs. That doesn't make him a title contender, in my opinion, at all.
Well, but look what Paul George did to your Philadelphia 76ers title odds. I mean,
but they have Maxey and Embiid.
Right, okay. But it's not like the Warriors, I think, still have the bones of a team that could be competitive here.
Competitive, right? Like playoffs. You're not talking championship.
Well, that year 2022, I don't think a lot of people thought that was necessarily a title team. And then look at what happened. So I just watched that, and that wasn't 5 years ago, right? That was 2 years ago. 3 now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It just feels so much different than that team. I can't explain why. Also, the West is just so much better than it was that year. They're just other teams. I'm sorry. I like what you're saying. That'd be exciting to have Golden State. Feels like a real dark horse to make any noise in the West. Like, do you think that they're going to be out of the play-in tournament this year?
See, this is my thing about the Warriors. Like, they can't get anything done with the salary cap.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, it's like, who are the expensive people? They're paying 3 expensive people, but it's not even as expensive as, say, like what the Phoenix Suns are doing. So
the Suns are handcuffed.
Exactly.
Forever.
But it's not like that. That's what I'm saying. You've got Steph Curry, you've got Wiggins, and you've got Draymond. This is, besides that, there's no other huge contracts here. The Kumingas, the Moody's, the Pajemskis, these guys are cheap right now.
You said Wiggins, right?
Yeah, Wiggins is their second highest paid.
Yeah, I mean, they've been paying the tax. I don't know what to tell you. They don't have any money. There's just no room there. That's actually a lot of guys you just said. I mean, that's like three guys. That's a lot.
But again, they're not even paying it to the top. Like, Steph's making 55. Yeah, and he's going to make 60 next year, which is just crazy. But Draymond Green's making $24 million. Wiggins making 26. In this day and age in the NBA, that's not 35. It's not 40. I mean, they're not getting paid like top of the market stars outside of Steph.
So let's look at, in reality, what could they have done? They could have traded, they turned down an offer for Zach LaVine. They didn't want to take on Zach LaVine's money.
Which I get.
But do you? I mean, why not? You're going to have to take some wild swings here. Zach LaVine's a really good shooter, like has a high 3-point percentage. Like, bring him in. Like, I think he could fit that team. Instead, they said, we'll stick with Wiggins. Or are you going to trade the entire future for Markkanen? Is that worth it for Lauri Markkanen? If you're the Warriors, you have to be realistic here. Give up all your first-round picks and sign Lauri Markkanen to a $200 million deal. You have no flexibility. Where are you going to be in 3 years?
Well, I'm not saying that they had to take the swing this year. You're saying they're never going to win again. I'm like, with Steph Curry.
Definitely not.
Right. I don't get that defeatist attitude is where I am with this, because you have... Like, there is a little bit of flexibility here. Yes, they have been a high salary team, but again, you're not re-signing Klay. They offered him 2 years, $48 million, something like that. He decided to turn it down. He's getting more with the Dallas Mavericks. This is the end of the era. I know at some point they're going to have to pay Kuminga. They'll have to pay some of these younger guys. But still, this is not like... It's not like there's no flexibility. And also, I've been told that the Warriors are the smartest front office in all of the NBA.
So give me a move. What kind of move? Not even a specific move. Like, what do you expect them to do? Like, what level of player is going to come in there and make them a contender?
Listen, they found Andrew Wiggins, and he ended up being a massive part of their title team. Right? I mean, without Andrew Wiggins, they don't win that title against the Boston Celtics. I know we're not remembering it that way because he's basically been MIA for a lot of reasons, but that was off the scrap heap, and they got Andrew Wiggins. Someone had to attach a draft pick to Wiggins so the Golden State Warriors would take Wiggins.
Yeah, I don't think with a 37-year-old Steph and no Klay, and Draymond is also old, that another Andrew Wiggins is coming in and saving the day.
Man, and they paid, I know this is not about the salary cap, but they also paid Steve Kerr a ton of money to come back. If you don't have a title contender, what was that?
Well, maybe they're eyeing the next steps.
And Kerr stays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'd be great if Steve Kerr could stay. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, who would you rather have build the next team than Steve Kerr?
Okay, but you still have more years with Steph Curry. So you got 2 more until he becomes unrestricted free agent 2026, 2027. But don't you think Steph's going to play more than 2 more years?
Is he? I mean,
I think he could play till 40.
Okay, even if he does, yeah, but here's that certain point, he's just sort of a symbolic player, right? Like, he's good. We're getting a late career Kobe. The truth is, like, we try and avoid this reality. Players get old. I mean, Tom Brady confused everybody. And even your guy LeBron gets old. Like, these guys get old, and at a certain point, the party's not going to go on forever, and that's what's happening here in Golden State.
Okay, but Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at 45.
Right. That's why I'm saying he ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, right. He's not the one. So then let's look at this, right? If you don't think that the Warriors are serious about title contention now with Steph Curry still on the roster.
No, I don't think they're in the mix.
Okay. Then Steph Curry, shouldn't he ask for a trade?
No, he loves the Bay Area. He's Mr. Bay Area. He's got a great house, reportedly. Why would he? Where's he going to go?
Sell his house. He's already put in, what has it been, 12 years, 13 years in the Bay Area? That doesn't go away. You're still getting a statue. Your jersey's getting retired. I'm sorry, 15 years. You're still getting your jersey retired. All the trappings are going to come towards you. You just mentioned Brady. Like, why not try to go rip off one somewhere else? Why not trade Draymond Green? Like, why not just, fast forward this thing? And if you're Curry, try to win a 5th title. It doesn't matter if it's outside the Bay Area. It's still going to count on your permanent record.
Well, that's a great question. I think you're getting into lifestyle versus ring chasing. And here's the thing. You could ring chase, but there's no guarantee it works. Like, where's he going to go with that money? Like, who could afford him? Paul George went to the Sixers because the Sixers were the only team in the league that had enough space to sign him.
Yeah.
So where's Steph Curry going? And with the aprons, it's not like he can get that salary and just go anywhere he wants.
Well, there's such a thing as you can take pay cuts if you do want to go ring chasing.
So you're talking about his next contract.
I'm talking about his next contract, or I'm talking about asking for a trade now. I know that the aprons are different, but here's the thing. I've watched and sat here for most of my natural life, and of any sport, I've watched NBA players shoehorn themselves into places I never thought they could go. And again, I understand it's different now, but...
And it always fails, right?
Well, but I don't know about that because
Give me some examples of it working.
Of guys...
I'm thinking, you mean like Karl Malone going to the Lakers and Gary Payton going to the Lakers. Like that, those late career moves are often fall short. So why does Steph want to risk that?
Well, but what's the risk? If you're not going to win anything in Golden State, then what's
I think
the
downside? I think there is downside. Say, for example, in 2 years, his contract's up, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go to Orlando, who's got this young, good team, or something. He's ring chases, and it doesn't work out, which is the rule. Most often, this late career move does not work. Ring chasing is very hard to do, and it falls short. It's like, why did I spend that last year in a Magic uniform, like Patrick Ewing? Like, why am I doing that? Why not just stay and finish with the Warriors? There's a lot of value to that.
But see, I think he's already gotten all the value out of that. Like, again,
no, I mean to finish with the Warriors. There's a lot of value to be a Warrior, wire to wire.
See, I don't think so, because he's already given so much to the Warriors. He's far and away the most important player they've ever had in the history of the franchise. That doesn't change. Tom Brady will always be a Patriot, even though he won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. Nothing's going to change. They retired his number. He's a god there. None of that goes away. And so if you, say you end up going to Miami, who knows what the Heat could look like in a couple of years? That worked for Shaq, it worked for Gary Payton. You could end up going to a different team that actually is competent. It doesn't have to be a bottom feeder, and maybe you do rip off another title.
Well, Shaq was, 31 at that time?
You're asking me for examples.
Right.
I'm giving you one of guys who left a place where they were going to have a statue and do have a statue, and Shaq didn't even spend his whole career in L.A., and they won somewhere else.
Those are not perfect analogies, because Shaq, that was his third team, and he was way younger, and he went on for 5 other teams. And Gary Payton was barely on that Heat team. Steph Curry's not going to be Gary Payton with the Heat. That's like a random trivia. Most people forget that Gary Payton even won a ring. Like, that is not like a common knowledge.
Okay, but I'm just giving you what's taken away from Steph if he leaves?
You don't think there's value to be wire to wire like Kobe with the Lakers? Like, that's a big thing. Like, yeah, I think there's definitely that last year. We talked about this on the topic yesterday. The Emmitt Smith as a Cardinal, that is not always a great thing. I think it usually ends pretty badly.
Okay, but let's say you're doing a theoretical Mount Rushmore of all-time Lakers.
Right.
Kobe's on it, whether he spent the last 3 years in Houston or not. So,
but don't you think that was cool that he retired a Laker? Like, I think that's where we differ. I think there is definitely value in that.
They also overpaid him like crazy to stay there when they weren't even competitive for titles. Like, if I'm Steph, I don't know if I look at that and say, man, that's exactly what I want. I wonder if I'm saying, hey, I could win a 5th ring, and maybe people are saying that I'm more impactful, or I don't know if you say you're better than LeBron James, but you would have more rings than LeBron.
I don't even think, first of all, I think it's going to be hard to win a ring somewhere else, but again, because of salary cap. But I think Steph would rather stay with his family in Golden State. And just why would you do that? Why would you do that extra year with the Rockets or the Mavericks or whatever? I just feel like it's kind of weak.
Why do you think Klay's still hanging on?
I think Steph's a different caliber player. And I think this Klay thing, maybe he's Ray Allen with the Heat, but I'm not sure this is going to end great. Why do you think Klay's still hanging on? I mean, he's way younger than Steph, too. He's only 2 years younger. 2 years younger. He's 34. So, I mean, that's not retirement age.
Okay, but I don't think their games, like the way they play. Yeah, Klay's defense has definitely dropped off, but they don't play like this physical. Like they are physical, but they're not like, it's not LeBron's like game.
If Klay didn't have this injury history, I think Klay would have been a lot more valuable in this market too.
Maybe that's true.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What would you do if you were Steph?
I would leave. But see, I'm not convinced that the Warriors have waved a white flag. You are. I don't know if it's going to be this season. You might need to regroup, but I think there's a possibility that you're still trying to maximize the end of his career. But if I had your mentality, which is that's it's over for this Golden State Warriors, with Steph Curry winning titles, then I definitely want to leave. Because again, I don't think anything gets damaged or dented in my legacy in Golden State just if I try another team.
But in theory, you can definitely damage your legacy by moving around. I mean, Kevin Durant and LeBron definitely are viewed differently than other players because they're moving around.
Yeah, but they made those decisions way earlier in their career.
Yeah, but they were Kevin Durant specifically, it was, his legacy will permanently be ruined by going to the Warriors. And I think LeBron, in that 1-2 argument of all-time players, people are going to be like, always say, well, yeah, he went to Miami though, because it was kind of weak.
I'm curious if we can put this out on a poll. Maybe Ryan, we can help out on that one. If Steph Curry left Golden State, how do you want to word this? Like, I don't think anything happens to his legacy. I don't think it damages him. I don't think going wire to wire as a Warrior, like, doesn't give him anything more than what he already has earned in that Bay Area in terms of being an icon.
But think about it personally. Like, you're going to go from this sort of Cadillac of a franchise to, I don't know where you're going to go. It's not going to be an ideal situation. Whoever has room to sign Steph is probably not going to be great to start with. I just think this is going to be a tough spot. Yeah, I don't know. Just think about NBA history. The aging superstar who does one last deal. That rarely works.
Okay, I'm just also looking at what we just saw a couple weeks ago now, which is Willie Mays passes away, right? All-time icon in the Bay Area. Did anyone say anything about him finishing out with the Mets? No.
Well, it was definitely embarrassing, though. I mean, he fell in the outfield.
But nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, I just watched a documentary. They did 20 minutes about him and the Mets and all the things that went wrong.
Okay, but that's a documentary. I'm talking about he's being eulogized.
Yes, no, you're right about
as
that.
Like an all-time great San Francisco sports icon. No one's like, and man, I can't believe he left for the Mets at the end,
But right,
it's a PS that nobody's going to mention.
But we did a segment yesterday where we saw Akeem in a Raptors jersey and Ewing in a weird jersey, and I remember Iverson played some weird places, and it's just like it's not good. If you're like an all-time Mount Rushmore NBA player, you'd rather play with one franchise your whole career for sure.
Iverson is loved in Philly now more than ever.
Yeah, but we're talking again like
it didn't do anything to him at all. He is the superstar of superstars in Philadelphia. No one cares that he played for the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think Steph. I mean, it's just different. I think Steph leaving the Warriors is not as simple as you think. Oh, he's got a better chance to win with Jalen Green in Houston. Like, oh. That would be terrible. I mean, Chris Paul signed with Golden State got a collective. Ugh. Like 39-year-old point guards are not awesome, and to be like this sort of role player on a championship team and win a ring, I don't even know if that helps his legacy or hurts it.
Oof. I couldn't disagree more. I want to hear from you. 855-212-4227. Would it hurt Steph Curry's legacy if he left the Golden State Warriors to play for another team? I think that's a good way to put it. 855-212-4227. You can watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. This was a shock. Got some news yesterday we're not expecting. We're going to share it with you next. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It is getting hot out there, and not because of the temperature, but because of Maggie's hot takes that LeBron is shadow GMing the Lakers and failing as a shadow GM. But more importantly, she just came up with a food take. Can we do this now?
Just came up with it. This is my life.
You've had this take before? We've never talked about this.
I just live this. I've always thought this. Maybe we just have never gotten around to it yet, but I've always thought this.
Okay, the question is, we're talking about July 4th is coming up, which can be super fun. What's a better food holiday? Thanksgiving, which is known solely for its food, or July 4th, which is known for its fireworks? Which is a better food holiday? I personally think Thanksgiving because, it is a Thanksgiving food. No, it says, oh, man, hey, it's Thursday afternoon. Let's get some July 4th food.
No, a barbecue. Give me a barbecue, cookout, whatever you call it, wherever you live. I will take that food over Thanksgiving food. Thanksgiving is good. It's fine. I'm into it when it comes around, and we've hosted a lot. I've done it. It's a complicated meal. But give me hamburgers, hot dogs, whatever macaroni salad, potato salad you're into, coleslaw. Can I get some, peach cobbler, blueberry cobbler, ice cream? Can I get some watermelon on the side? Pickles. I love a giant, what is that, a half dill? Great.
He's trying to get you.
I was going to say something and I didn't say it.
Wait, what'd you say?
I'm not
pickles.
saying it. I actually like pickles. The slices, and I like to put it on my burger. Or give me relish. July 4th food better than Thanksgiving food.
No, you're right. Relish is way better
than cranberry sauce. It's same.
I think your problem here, Maggie, is that the ambiance of the 4th of July summer backyard is skewing your respect for the food. Just culinary attributes.
You just said macaroni salad.
Oh, I love a mac salad.
Thanksgiving wins.
I'm from upstate New York, and mac salad is a religion up there. I think that this is, yes, you're right. Maybe because when it's around Thanksgiving time in this part of the world, we get a little cooped up. But we do have football to keep us entertained. I love Thanksgiving. I'm not down on it. I just love July 4th way more. It's a very high on my power rankings of holidays.
Yeah. Okay.
You weren't even entertaining.
I'm laughing about the. Remember the Chadwick Boseman SNL skit about the white woman who brings a potato salad to the cookout?
Well, it had the raisins in it or something. I wouldn't do something that diabolical.
I sense this white woman does not season her food. Something tells me I say, oh, hell no, Karen. Keep your bland-ass potato salad to yourself.
Spencer's in the chat says tuna salad. No, I will never eat tuna fish again as long as I live. That's over.
Yeah, you just brought up relish. That's how bad that argument got.
How about Andrew Caplan in the chat? I'm with Maggie. Barbecue so much better. Thank you, sir.
Barbecue is great, but listen, July 4th is hot dogs and hamburgers. Well, it's not like, I'm going to get a slow cooked brisket here.
Well, you could. Depends how much you're souping it up.
Yeah, you could do that on Thanksgiving too if you wanted, because brisket and all those great barbecue foods that you get in Texas and stuff, that's not July 4th. No, July 4th is hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah, but see, I think that you're way more shoehorned into a menu on Thanksgiving than you are on July 4th. You can color outside the lines a lot more on July 4th. You got time. It does, you can get the smoker out, as opposed to Thanksgiving where, all right, you can take some liberties. Maybe you deep fry your turkey. Maybe you're, going cornbread, stuffing. You got something, slight differences. Macaroni and cheese maybe over mashed potatoes or whatever. But for the most part, you're kind of sticking to the same menu. July 4th, sky's the limit.
I think macaroni and cheese is the one food that could be at both of these.
Well,
yeah.
And would be celebrated and welcomed at both holidays.
I gotta be honest, I'm not even engaging this. This argument is below anybody who enjoys food. This is, I'm sorry, this is crazy. Hot dogs? You're talking about
what's wrong with hot dogs?
They're fine, but as someone in the Twitter just mentioned, you can get that in Costco for $1. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Thanksgiving food. Zach Gell doesn't eat for 3 days before Thanksgiving because he's so excited to eat Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving dinner is the best thing.
Wait, Perloff,
everybody looks forward to it.
You act like you can't get turkey any other time of year. Have you heard of a turkey sandwich? It's basically the most popular lunch food possible.
You're not helping yourself here, Maggie.
You guys don't eat turkey any other time of year.
Turkey?
I was going to go something more freshly carved.
You know what the game changer for me is with Thanksgiving? It's the mashed potatoes with the gravy. Yes. I could just eat that forever.
I want to see someone make the bold move and have Thanksgiving food at 4th of July and vice versa.
Bring out here comes the cranberry sauce.
You guys, and by the way, cranberry in a can all day long, right? Who's with me on that one?
Yeah.
No.
Ryan Botcher, you're a kid.
I'm not a cranberry fan at all.
Oh, just period.
Just period.
Also, in the chat, Gel beats lasagna for Thanksgiving. Are you okay with that? Now we're on a Zach.
Yeah, but what is that deal? That's a thing, right?
It's Italians.
Yeah. But early, it's like an appetizer. You start with lasagna, and eventually you get to turkey.
Nobody talks about, oh my God, I'm gonna fast July 3rd so I can eat a bunch of pickles.
I'm telling you, really think about it. Dish for dish.
No, you know what? You think about it and you do it. On Thanksgiving, I want you to put out burgers and hot dogs to your friends and family.
Giant pickles and wieners. That's what I want on
Easy
4th of
Pete.
July.
Wait, while we have brought up Zach Gelb, maybe we should get to what happened yesterday on his show. Would you like to get into this now?
Definitely.
Okay. So we obviously had the big charity kickball event on Saturday, which turned out to be a massive bummer because our executive producer, EJ Stewart, tore his patellar tendon stealing third base. Successfully stealing third, but nonetheless, stealing third.
No, it's important. It's important to know.
No, because
it counts in his stats. He had great analytics.
Yeah, no, this is like Klay Thompson. Tears the ACL, comes out to make the free throws. Like you got to add in.
Yeah, no, honestly, we needed him out there. He was a very effective kickball player. Anyway.
Okay, so Zach Gelb was recounting the charity kickball game and had some comps, some athlete comps for all of us. So first, let's go with EJ, who Zach Gelb reminded him a lot of the Jets quarterback.
But EJ was kind of our Aaron Rodgers. No ayahuasca, no Egypt, no darkness retreats. But there was a lot of hype around EJ, and this injury happened in the first game in the first inning. It's kind of like Rodgers debuting for the Jets against the Bills, and then 4 plays into the season, the Jets season came just right to a halt.
Yeah, fair. I mean,
how did we
on.
not think about that?
Yeah.
You're right. That's a great point by Zach. He is exactly Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Ran out with the flag, and then 10 minutes later, it was all over.
To be honest, was wearing red, white, and blue. Was kind of like wearing all the flag colors. So it really is just very apt. Gelb, not very happy with my performance at the charity kickball event.
The moment EJ got hurt, she's like, I got to drive EJ to the hospital. We got to get an ace bandage on this. And her kid was there. Maggie's kid was there. She was caring more for EJ than her actual kid.
Fair. My kid wasn't in crisis with his knee separated from the rest of his leg. Yes, EJ definitely needed a little bit more care than Lucas did, who was just enamored that they had a drone at the event. So I didn't have to give so much attention to the 5-year-old.
Have you seen Lucas and Sunday, though? We found him yet? He just wandered off?
He's in Rahway somewhere. Okay. I'm sure they'll bring him home.
Well, but Zach's point that you weren't exactly focused on the team.
Yeah, he called me Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah. Wow. I think it's fair. Maggie, you contributed nothing to the team.
Absolutely zero.
But you were a decent human being who cared for EJ. So you get points for that. Probably less important because the team needed you and you were nowhere to be seen.
What was I supposed to do? Leave EJ, who's in pain, just to be say, sorry, I got to go do this at bat in this kickball game that we're going to get our butts slaughtered anyway?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I wonder what Gelb's saying if Stu Kovacs goes down.
Right. His own guy. Well, we love Stu, obviously.
Right. I'm just, have some courtesy.
No. It feels like after a while you could have walked away from EJ and went back to the game.
Yeah.
Or played in the second game.
I tore
or
his
the
knee.
third game. But what was happening? He wasn't having surgery. He was sitting there. He keeps telling us how he wasn't in pain. He's taking pictures with Deion Dawkins. He would have been okay for 20 minutes by himself.
I even throw something out here? I know I don't want to kick a man when he's down, but I think this is on EJ too. EJ should have, through teary eyes, said, Maggie, I want you to go out there and I want you to hit for kickball. EJ should have inspired the team. Where was EJ's speech? Do it for me.
There was no win one for the Gipper happening in that charity kickball event. First of all, we stunk.
That is true.
So I basically just abandoned a sinking ship to attend to another sinking ship, which was EJ. But Zach Gelb, breaking down our charity kickball event, was most disappointed in Andrew Perloff.
The most disappointing person actually was Perloff. Perloff thought he was like Juju Smith-Schuster. He cared more about the TikTok, the social media posts.
Yeah, I love Juju. I was like, that's an insult. I'm like, I'm the coolest player on the team. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I love that we cut it off there because I'm like, yes, I'm the new Juju.
Well, to break the news, he also said he was very disappointed in how you couldn't take the pants off.
The tearaway.
Bogusch, you noticed that
right away.
Well, I hadn't worn them in a long time. I think the metal buttons had rusted.
Yeah, from your Dartmouth days.
Yeah.
You're lucky you fit into them.
Yeah, The tearaway pants was a problem. Like that, I was the catcher on a kickball team. That's a sad place to be.
It's like the one thing that nobody needed.
Yeah.
But
Actually, when we lost Maggie, I was going to say, can we just have someone from the other team be the catcher? And then add insult to injury. Listen, I was a little injured, so I wanted to. I was playing catcher. You guys are going to love this. There'd be something hit into the gap in the outfield, and somebody would be rounding home. And Maggie's husband would just come back and cover home plate and ignore the fact that I was standing there.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned my husband because Zach also made sure to shout out my husband, name also Andrew.
Maggie's husband was like freaking Pele. He played college soccer. He was tremendous at the dish, and he was even better in the field. So I give Maggie's husband credit. But the moment that happened, Maggie went from being all in on the kickball to then EJ got hurt. I'm done.
Yeah. I called your husband yesterday the Jerry West of the kickball tournament. Like he could have won the MVP in a losing effort.
Yeah.
I love the idea of him just pushing you out of the way.
He's covering home when you're there.
Deciding you can't do this well enough, so I'm going to do it for you.
Can I say one more thing about your husband? This is not, again, and he's awesome. But we're doing, there was pregame announcements of the rules.
Yeah.
And like everyone's just like hanging out, having fun. We're joking around. So all of a sudden, I see Andy's up in the front row asking like a series of 4 questions about the mechanics of how you steal bases. He's like, when the arm is at a 45-degree angle, am I allowed to take off? And then, and he's got a bandana wrapped around his head like Nadal at the French Open. I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, I got a little scared. I'm like, wait, how seriously are we taking this thing?
Very.
I thought you'd enjoy it, fellow Ivy League person, getting really into the fine print.
Oh, well, the competitiveness was shocking because you're one of the most competitive people I know, and you're basically like
I bowed out.
You were laissez-faire compared to him.
No, I.
So how do you guys like play board games in the house?
We don't. We're not competitive with each other, but we don't play a lot of board games.
Okay,
so
that's great. That's great. I could see a game of Monopoly turning into a fist fight in that household.
Just pushing the board over.
Yeah, I could see.
I said Park Place, damn it. Yeah, no, it's not like that.
Yeah, I can see Andy pulling out like econometrics on the Monopoly board.
Yeah, he's got Freakonomics just thumbing through it.
But Zach's right. He was outstanding at kickball. Like maybe as a second career. I don't know if there's pro kickball. I think there is. Did we see it the other day?
Well, I don't know if it's pro kickball, but there is a kickball league that was on TV this weekend, right in tune with you guys playing.
Right.
I'm watching teams with names and jerseys and rules and different paint on the turf for the kickball field.
Definitely not signing my husband up for that.
Well, if there's
footage, never see him again.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we could send him some of my Instagram videos because all I was doing was taking videos of Andy playing and maybe get him a spot on this team.
Today's his birthday, actually. Happy birthday, honey. He's 40. Andrew Bogusch has headlines. What's up, Bogusch?
I'm not sure, guys, this ever works, but Utah football doing it anyway. The school reconfirming yesterday that longtime defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley will replace longtime head coach Kyle Whittingham whenever he's done, but there's no timetable for that. Whittingham turned 65 in November, entering his 20th season. I just, like, Jim Boeheim, this didn't work.
Yep.
Like, Mike Hoppus had to leave Syracuse.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, like, the success rate of this has to be less than 10%.
Remember Florida with Muschamp? Or
Will Muschamp?
Or was that, wherever, I can't remember. Will Muschamp was caught up in one of these and it was never worked out.
Oh, is the successor to Urban?
I think it was successor. I think he was named a successor to Urban or something, and it's bad. I don't know why it's bad. It should work better.
Here's the thing. When you don't have an ending date, it's like, so it's just sort of this nebulous kind of thing. I think there's a better way to do it. You could do it like Jim Harbaugh just did it, where Sharon Moore kind of behind the scenes was known to be the guy.
Right.
But you didn't have to do it like so far in advance. Or you do the Nick Saban. Just keep everybody guessing. Don't do it at all, and then it leaves you open in case a big slam dunk hire comes your way, and you end up getting Kalen DeBoer.
Right, and you can give guys. I'm assuming teams call to want to hire this guy as a head coach.
Sure.
So you can give him a fancier title. You can pay him whatever you want to pay him. But the specific thing of going, he's our next head coach whenever we need one. When the current guy says, I don't know when I'm leaving, that dynamic never seems to actually pay off.
And like the last we see of Kyle Whittingham, he's like, riding a Harley into the game. This guy doesn't seem like he's ready to step away. Anyway.
And 65 is not old anymore. I feel like for a college, or ever was old for a college coach. It's not like the end is necessarily that.
Bobby
that
Bowden
close.
was into his 80s.
Right.
Yeah, right. Paterno, too.
Yesterday, the Celtics began things by re-signing Derek White. Then they gave Jayson Tatum the richest deal ever, 5 years, $314 million. And then they announced the teams for sale. Wick Grousbeck, I never know how to say his name, and his partners paid $360 million for the Celtics back in 2002. Matt Ishbia just paid $4 billion for the Suns. That's a nice return on your investment. The sale expected to happen later this year or early next. There was one thing in the announcement that confused me. It said that Wick would remain the governor until 2028.
Okay. So like a Mark Cuban situation.
But these things don't take 3 years to finalize. So I don't understand why they're projecting that far into the future.
Well, this is like what happened with the Timberwolves, and I think a little bit with the Mavericks, where someone else was going to take over the team, but the current people still got to run it for a couple years,
Or
like this long handoff.
Or they're going to do like the stage thing, like where A-Rod and what's-his-name bought a little bit and then kept adding on more and more and more.
Yeah, and that's
then
going smashingly.
Yeah, and then it's almost like naming your
your successor.
Coach.
Yeah, it's just going to be wrapped up in litigation from now until the end of time. Yeah, that's interesting. Also, I think the other owner wanted to keep it. He's like, I hope I get to stay involved.
I don't understand.
Or whatever.
Yeah, if you're a rich person, like, what's better than owning a team? Like, what's next? Like, what are you going to do with that money?
Oh, this is so smart for them to get out.
But why? For what?
You just won, so you've won 2 titles.
Right.
You're beloved in Boston.
Right.
And you just have to pay Jayson Tatum a contract that's almost as much as you paid for the team.
Right. But the next round of contracts is going to be even bigger. But my point is, like, what's next for him? Like, you can never reach that high. There's nothing better, cooler than owning a team. That's the top of the mountain.
See, I was wondering what's next for the NBA because they keep talking about new TV deals and all this extra income. That's why salaries are going up. But now we've had Mark Cuban and these guys getting out of the business. Do they know? Like, are they expecting something that they are getting out now, but while they can max out their return?
I mean, if the Suns went for what, $4 billion?
$4 billion.
What do you think the Celtics are going to go for? It's the most storied franchise at 18 banners. I mean, it's going to be insane. And I just saw in Boston, people are just begging that they don't sell it to the same people on the Red Sox because the last they really know of this group is like trading away Mookie Betts, and they just do not want the Red Sox, John Henry, and that ownership group to take over. Fenway Group.
Yeah, aren't they? They're locked into soccer. I don't know that they have another $4-point-something billion for the Celtics.
Who's like the best owner for them? Like just some sort of Ben Affleck, Matt Damon?
This is too much money for those guys.
Well, it's funny. You know, you would want a rich owner, but Ballmer's has been completely ineffective, and he's the richest owner in sports.
Yeah.
Well, now actually, I guess the Walmart people might be richer, but money can't buy you titles. And now they have this new salary cap. Like, it doesn't even matter if you have a rich owner. So you just want a smart owner?
Well, I just wonder if the product's going to change on the court at all, because you've got Brad Stevens, so he's there, and you've got Joe Mazzulla, so... But ownership definitely matters, doesn't it?
I think isn't the best thing an owner can do is stay out of the way of the personnel?
Definitely. It seems like this ownership group was pretty involved, though.
Doesn't feel like in the NBA you have now with the new structure, you can't do much anyway. Like, I don't know. How many moves can the Celtics really make over the next 5 years?
Do you think the Saudis would buy this? Because they actually, I think, there's a new clause in the CBA where a sovereign
I thought that was the NFL.
Fund, no, I think the NBA too, where they can also buy teams. So the Saudis could own the Celtics also.
Was that a news story in the NBA? I remember it recently came out that college football could sell to anybody they want. And I think the NFL just changed their rules. I don't know. Has it always been that way for NBA? Because Joe Tsai came in there, obviously.
I don't know.
Yeah, Joe Tsai has been a warning on the foreign owners, I would think.
Well, Prokhorov maybe was
Yeah,
before
even
that.
Prokhorov. Yeah, of course. By the way, their succession plan, Will Muschamp was supposed to succeed Mac Brown in Texas. He was named, and they hired him and signed a deal, and it never happened. So that's the other thing with the successor. It might never happen. Like, what if you guys bring up...
Are you going back to the Kyle Whittingham
story?
story?
By the way, because I totally...
Did time travel back to 2 stories ago?
Well, I was there.
I'm like, wait a minute, to buy the Celtics? How's he going to get the money?
So Muschamp spent 5 years after that was announced, and he didn't get the job, and eventually left for Florida. So that could happen to this dude, where he spends 5 years under Kyle Whittingham and it never even works out. Anyway, sorry, I just want to wrap that up as we're running out of time.
Okay, so that's Whittingham. Then we did the Celtics. Now this is soccer, U.S. men's soccer, the better team for large chunks of time in KC last night, but it didn't matter.
Free kick for Uruguay after the rain of foul. De La Cruz sends it in. the save. The rebound to goal. U.S. looking at the side, hoping to see a flag come up. It's not going to come up.
Matias Oliveira scoring in the 66th minute. The goal was reviewed. Everybody seemed to think they were offside, but the goal stood. Uruguay won 1-0. Panama beat Bolivia 3-1. So the U.S. does not reach the knockout stage. A full review is coming after this latest disappointment. That's according to U.S. Soccer Federation. That could mean the end of Greg Berhalter's time as head coach. Just 2 baseball games last night. Both went to extra innings. The Rockies snuck past the Brewers 8-7-10 on a Jake Cave RBI single. Colorado winning back-to-back games for the first time since late May. And the Mets held off the Nationals 9-7-10 to snap a 2-game slide. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thanks so much. Coming up, we check in on the most interesting man in the NFL. That's all next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey, he says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with his strange mishmash. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Foster's in his hand, trying to fit in, but his mates back home just chuckle and grin. He should be slinging steaks, not slinging slang. In the kitchen's where he can really hang. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. In the heart of the game, under the bright lights, EJ stood ready, aiming for new heights. But fate took a turn on that somber play, left us all speechless, nothing to say. Chase me, oh, it has left us in the silence. The crowd's hush, dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Once danced on the field, now a quiet rest. Each stride a memory, we thought you the best. The journey's paused, the spirit feels heavy. Oh, how we miss you, strong and steady. Chase me, oh, it has left us in the silence. The crowd's hush, dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Can the stars align once more for you? Hear the whispers in the morning dew. We stand by you in highs and lows, waiting for the day you rise and
1 minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Had to get to this one from the weekend. Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Aaron Rodgers in Las Vegas, Pearl, UFC 303. He was ringside with former teammate Mercedes Lewis. Or is Lewis on the team now? I don't think so. Anyway.
I think Mercedes Lewis is still in the NFL.
Still in the NFL.
I think I saw you sign somewhere.
He's not on the Jets, though, is he? Well, we'll figure that out. Anyway, Big Dog and Aaron Rodgers ringside at UFC at the big event, and I thought it was interesting. I don't know if Rodgers was a big UFC fan, but it felt a little odd to me because he's so about mindfulness and it just seemed like darkness retreats and sort of finding himself and the sort of, in some ways he kind of gets accused of being sort of like a hippie, like a little peace and love stuff, and then let's go watch two guys beat the absolute crap out of each other. And so didn't see that one for Rodgers, but that's where he was. Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nice.
And that's what Aaron Rodgers is up to.
Feels like he fits in well there because that's like a Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan does the commentating, and he's obviously, that's really his lane, right?
You're right. And actually the mindfulness, that's a lot of martial arts stuff. So it does actually
you're right. Like you
come
could
together.
You could find UFC in the mindfulness thing. But obviously, I think we've said this before. I think he could be the successor to Joe Rogan. I think if he wanted to, I think the money that Spotify was throwing at these guys might be interesting to him. That could be his route.
Sure. I mean, it's a crowded space, but obviously Rodgers has a name that's much bigger than any of those people.
I know. Yeah, it's funny. It's a crowded space. Yeah, it's a lot different. Aaron Rodgers than, Locked On the Jaguars or whatever.
No, not just podcasts. I'm talking about those types of podcasts.
Yeah, but it's interesting to me. Will he go into that kind of? He could be a commentator like Tom Brady, do the traditional path, or he could be a coach. But I think it's possible that he just goes into this whole different world: political commentary, social commentary, historical commentary. I think that's what could happen. We've talked about that before. Would he do a podcast, and what would it be worth?
Yeah, I just think it's the athletes doing podcast space that's pretty crowded. I mean,
right, but I think he would not be sports necessarily.
Got it.
I just did a wind horse with my hands, by the way. I don't know why.
Windy fingers?
Yeah, I don't think he would interview young athletes. I think he would interview epidemiologists and I don't know who studies aliens, but those people, right? Don't you think he'd enjoy that?
Yeah, no, he definitely would. So we also got a little bit more reporting on his unexcused absence from the Giants mandatory minicamp. The Jets mandatory minicamp. How dare I? So he was on that trip to Egypt. Connor Hughes of SNY, who's been a guest on this show, reporting that this was a trip that Rodgers was planning, Pearl, when he was in the depths of his kind of despair after the Achilles. And so this gave him something to look forward to and something to keep his spirits up while he was rehabbing. Didn't have any idea that it was going to conflict with the mandatory mini camp. But now that you know that it was something to keep his spirits up, do you think about this any differently? Because I think a lot of people would say, listen, it was a trip to Egypt. You could really just reschedule that. The pyramids have been around for thousands of years. They're not going anywhere.
Right. So here's my question. Do we know what he was doing over there? What was the event?
I don't know if there was an event. I think it was just a trip. That's how Connor made it seem that it was a trip that he was planning. So in theory, that's what I'm saying. There's no reporting that he was there for a conference or something that was couldn't be moved or was about more than just him.
It had to be, though. I think we just don't have it yet. He was probably meeting somebody or doing something. It can't just possibly be like a teen tour around Egypt or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, you think all those flights, hotels, I mean, they can all be rescheduled.
Yeah, of course. There's something else going on here. But then again, When he was skipping Packers camp to go off with Miles Teller, and
I don't think that was mandatory.
was that
though.
not? I was wondering, did he ever miss the mandatory?
I don't think so.
I think he might have.
Mandatory is very rare for quarterbacks to miss the mandatory stuff. The voluntary stuff for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the spirit is the same. He obviously was like, I'm an old quarterback. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to go to minicamp. And that's a reality. Like, this does not affect the win total of the Jets because I assume Aaron Rodgers knows Nathaniel Hackett's offense at this point.
Well, I think he is the offense at this point. I think Hackett's there as like a wax figure. I think that Rodgers is the one who actually makes that offense work.
Right, but it very specifically, though, it is Hackett's offense. Like, he knows that offense. He's done it for, what, like 15 years now?
But still, it's like if we don't get any reporting that he was there for a specific reason, it doesn't matter. The Jets already said it was unexcused. They don't think it's going to impact the season or anything. But so far, it's just like, no, just this really dope trip to Egypt that I wanted to take. And that's what we've got.
Yeah, I think there's more. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It can't just be, again, that would just blow me away if it was just because he had all the hotels booked.
Listen, those Nile cruises, they book up fast. Don't lose your spot.
Yeah, that could be true.
I mean, you never know. That 210 Common, that tomb has been around for 5,000 years, but maybe tomorrow it goes away. I don't know. 855-212-4227. Coming up, what is going on with the Dallas Cowboys? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're wondering what's up with the Dallas Cowboys? Well, this can't be good. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The Dallas Morning News, Perloff reporting that CeeDee Lamb, who's been looking for a new contract, the star wide receiver, not expected to report to training camp with the Dallas Cowboys, which they hold in California famously every year, without a new deal. So if you were wondering whether this was going to bleed into training camp and really getting ready for the season, well, that's going to be an affirmative.
Well, unless they get a deal done, which is still possible. Probably should, to be honest. Maybe it's a good thing. Listen to this, Cowboys fans.
Okay.
Your main problem on offense is everyone knew anytime you needed some yards, the ball was going to CeeDee Lamb. And the Packers are not idiots. They looked at film and they're like, all right, well, if we just shut down CD and double team him, then the Cowboys are going to be able to do nothing on offense. And that's exactly what happened in the wild card game. During the regular season, I think it's harder to game plan on a week-to-week basis. But there's obviously a problem with the way the Cowboys are built. So maybe if CD spends some time away, these other guys step up. That's the best I got for you. There is definitely something wrong with the way the Cowboys are built around CeeDee Lamb. That is, I would say that their Achilles heel is over-reliance on CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, but so what are you positing then? Are you positing that they should trade him? Because if you are going to pay him anyway, then what's the holdup and what's the wait? Unless you're planning to franchise tag him, and then you don't think he's showing up now. You think he's showing up on a franchise tag? This is not going to get any easier.
Well, I know. This was, again, I was trying to help you Cowboys fans. Let him hold out. I think he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. Negotiate. Let these other guys step up, get all the reps, and maybe you get into camp. CD's going to be fine. I mean, he's in unbelievable shape. He's going to be great. I just think that, it's not urgent to have him there. I don't think it's a huge tragedy if he's not there the first day of camp.
Okay, but that's fine. And the first day of camp is July 25th. But where does this eventually go? Because the price for wide receivers is high. Yeah. And even if he doesn't top the Justin Jefferson of, what was it, the $33 million or whatever that Jefferson got, it's going to be around there. You're not getting a deal here.
Well, here's my question, though. I think the question is, are you going to give him more than Justin Jefferson? Like, that's probably what he's asking for, or at Justin Jefferson? Or can you save, say, $30 million on this deal by waiting a couple weeks? I think you can.
How much are you saving?
30 to $50 million.
How are you saving that money?
Well, how long was Jefferson's deal?
Here's the thing. Even if it's not topping it, it's going to be in the neighborhood. And that doesn't matter if it happens now or if it happens in a month or two. I think we should just look at this on balance. Like, if you just want to take a look quickly at what's gone on with the Cowboys off season, ever since you go back to that game, as you said, the Packers were not idiots. They understood, and that might have been one of the worst losses in the history of the franchise. A terrible loss to against the Packers when you're home, you're a 7.5-point favorite. You've got the head coach and multiple other coaches who are in contract years. So you have a lot of uncertainty in terms of who's in charge. You've got CeeDee Lamb still looking for a deal, reportedly not going to come to training camp without one. You've got Dak still looking for a new deal. We haven't seen anything. Well,
that's a different thing, but yes.
You have Micah Parsons, who could have a new deal. We've got nothing new on that. And hold on one second, more on Parsons. You've got a new defensive coordinator who the last time saw Micah Parsons said, the guy hasn't said 20 words to me. So apparently Mike Zimmer is really slow playing the relationship between these two. And now you've got Malik Hooker, who was on the Keyshawn Johnson podcast recently, who wanted to make sure to reiterate that Micah Parsons has to be focused on the team before his podcast.
For Micah, my advice would be, just make sure we're all right, where and being where your feet are. Because if we're at work and, the run game's terrible, but you're doing a podcast every week and the run game is terrible, then, what are you really caring about? Are you caring about the crowd that, is watching your podcast? Are you caring about the success of our team and the Super Bowl that we're trying to reach?
Right. Not an unfair, I guess, criticism of Parsons or anyone who would have a podcast, but then Parsons goes back on Twitter. Like, these guys can't have a conversation, apparently, one-to-one, because Parsons then went back on Twitter and said, just wish you had said this to me, but instead on some podcast. You've got my number, fam, and you're my locker mate as well, so you could have said this any day, and you do realize I shoot the podcast on our off day. Why aren't we talking about everyone's preparations and focus? Again, these are all things that could have happened behind the scenes. Someone's calling you out on a podcast, so you call them out on social media? Like, how those two wrongs don't make a right. Somebody has to get these two guys either in the same room or at least on a phone call together, and that's not happening. So
you're listing all these things, but is anything affecting the win total here?
So the win total is 10.5.
Right.
And do you think they're going to go over?
I think they're going to be right around 10.5, 11. Yeah, I think they go down a little from 12. I think the 12-5 might be over. But, yeah, of course, they're the same team as last year.
Okay, so I guess here's a question. Is it even about the regular season anymore with the Dallas Cowboys? Because that's kind of a given. They're a competitive team. They're still a good team. The regular season has not been the problem. What happens in the postseason? And that's been a variety of different reasons why they've lost in the postseason. So,
that's why the Dak contract's such a big deal, right? Because they have to say, I think they're going to sign CD. And you laugh when I said $30 million. That's exactly how much they're trying to save here.
Okay, so Justin Jefferson was 4 years, $140 million with $110 guaranteed.
Right. I'm sure CD wants more than 4 years. I'm sure he's asking for something huge and long term. So they basically, they're playing like that's real money. They're going to pay CD. They're going to pay Micah Parsons, but they're not going to pay Dak because of what you just said. Basically, they're like, all right, we're going to give it one more go round, and if it doesn't work, then we're starting over at quarterback. Isn't that what's happening here?
Well, then I ask you, why isn't the contract with CD done?
It'll be done. This one doesn't worry me. That's what I say. Okay. He can hold out. Like, they're going to pay CD Lamb, right?
Why not more help for the offense?
Well, like what?
Well, why not do anything in free agency to add some more playmakers?
I don't know really how much they had to spend.
You're not.
They spent a lot last year. I'm not sure. They have these big contracts coming up. They're probably going to pay CD this offseason. I'm not sure what moves they could have made. It's not like they had these gigantic deals that they couldn't afford Stephon Diggs, for example. They couldn't do a move like that at all.
If you had extended Dak Prescott, you would have gotten out from under his gigantic cap hit.
Yeah, and then you would have gotten like a $20 million player, right?
Okay, that's not nothing. You might need some of these guys. You're talking about the San Francisco 49ers are probably, beyond the Eagles, I would say for the Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers are their main rival, right?
No, the Eagles and the Giants.
Okay, but I'm talking about who's ended their season 2 out of the last 3 years.
The Niners are a big problem in the postseason, absolutely.
Okay, so the Niners, this was a rivalry in the 90s, and it's definitely gotten, rekindled here because the 49ers are light years ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. And look at what the Niners do. The Niners, granted, are not paying Brock Purdy, but they have multiple weapons. They went all in to get Christian McCaffrey, which so far has worked out for them. They paid Deebo Samuel. Yeah, they're still dealing with Ayuk. That's nothing. It's not perfect. They gave more money to Juwan Jennings to make sure that he could stick around. look at what your biggest rival is doing. Look at what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. Pay Devontae Smith. Paid A.J. Brown, bringing in Saquon Barkley. You paid Jalen Hurts. Like, you have an offensive line that is really stout. Like, if I'm a Cowboy fan, I'm looking around at our two biggest rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm like, why don't we look like them?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what's happening. They're saying, why are we going to just keep going 12-5 with Dak Prescott? They're definitely evaluating Dak.
Then why didn't they trade him? Why didn't you get rid of Mike McCarthy? Like, there's other things you could do if you really wanted to move on. And by the way, you move on from Dak, who's going to be your quarterback? Like,
I mean, that sounds good, but in reality, you weren't going to trade Dak Prescott. That's not even a thing. So basically, they have one more year on his contract. They're like, okay, we can be good with him. We're going to give it one more shot, and then we're going to start over. And so that's why they didn't extend him earlier and free up $20 million for some overpriced free agent. And they probably are looking at the Eagles and like, yeah, they're winning in March, but that doesn't mean much in September.
they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Right. But you were talking about this offseason. Yeah, they're making a bunch of splashy moves like Saquon Barkley this offseason, but we all know that that's a March move. What that means in October is a totally different thing. And the Niners have a rookie.
They traded for A.J. Brown on draft night 2 years ago, and they went to the Super Bowl immediately. It worked.
Right, but the Cowboys can't do that. They could trade for Diggs, for example. Like, they didn't have the money to. There's no way there was going to be cap space to bring in another star receiver. They tried that with Cooks last year. It didn't quite work. I think he's okay. So
yeah, but he's not a high price guy at all.
How much do you think he costs? I don't think he's cheap.
Brandon Cooks, not like an A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs situation. Not even close to that.
I think that the Cowboys are putting some money in there. But regardless,
then they chose wrong because he's not a difference maker.
But. Well, yeah, he's a pretty good player. Should be a pretty good number two. He was not. So they did 2 years, $40 million for Cooks. Like,
and
they spent. Like, actually, it's so funny because I saw the other day that they have already one of the most expensive wide receiver rooms, and you don't think of them like that at all.
That's mismanagement. That would make me even more upset if I.
But that's why I think the Cowboys are right now looking at this offseason and say, like, listen, we could have extended Dak and brought in a little more talent on offense. We could have done this. We could have done that. But what that would mean is 12-5 for the rest of the eternity. I think they're like, maybe they're ripping the Band-Aid. Maybe you have to look at it from this standpoint. Maybe they really are saying, you know what? Maybe it's time to move on from Dak. If that's in their head, and that's what everybody was saying in January, by the way. If that's in their head, then aren't they doing the right thing?
Well, but you're still going to pay CD and you're still going to pay Michael Parsons,
Oh, definitely.
Right?
You're definitely going to pay those guys,
okay,
yes.
so next year you're starting over with, a rookie? And where
no,
are you finding
I think you're
this
more
player?
likely to go do a veteran.
Okay, and so now you're just really whatever the market bears. So you could end up...
I think so, yes.
Okay, so that's not like a great plan because what are the odds that whoever this veteran is who might become available or might not is actually better than Dak Prescott?
I think if Dak fails in the playoffs again, then I think the odds are good. Because I think if Dak loses his wild card game, that's it. They're not going to do this again. They're going to be like, well, let's see. Maybe Tom Brady went to the Bucs. Aaron Rodgers will probably be floating around this offseason. There's a lot of Matthew Stafford will be floating around.
Yeah.
I think that's a big name for them.
That's an injury history on the last two guys you just mentioned. Brady's the greatest of all time, so that's a total outlier. And you're going to end up doing what happened maybe with the Atlanta Falcons, where you give $100 million to Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott are not so wildly different from each other.
Well, yeah, but again, Kirk is in Dak's boat. He can't win in the playoffs, so I'm not sure they're going to do that. But fast forward, if they lose the wild card round again this year, you're going to say this is it. Why are they holding on to Dak? So what I'm hearing from you is like they should re-sign Dak and just re-sign everybody and keep running it back. Why? I mean, that doesn't make any sense either.
Well, here's the thing, because you have no plan outside of after Dak Prescott, and so what I would have done. And this is, again, something that would have taken a little foresight, but the Cowboys didn't really have that, which is trying to figure out who could be your heir apparent quarterback while Dak Prescott is still there.
How are you going to do that? You keep on having high draft picks because you're a good team.
How about a second-round pick? How about
that? How often does that work?
Well, it worked for your Eagles, and you had Jalen Hurts. And by the way, I'll bring up again, I know this is maybe a little bit lucky from the 49ers, but they were able to find Brock Purdy. They just kept going after quarterbacks, not assuming that position is set.
They made him the last player picked in the entire draft. That's not going after quarterbacks.
I'm just saying that they moved Evan, or at least the 49ers were thinking about quarterbacks.
They obviously weren't thinking that hard because they let Brock Purdy go to the last pick of the 7th round.
Even before that, they were trying with Trey Lance.
Wow.
It was a
by
fail.
the way, is a Cowboy.
I
So
know,
the Cowboys are trying that.
But have we heard anything? Like, it is.
Yeah, they've been singing his praises all offseason.
Okay,
right?
so then maybe Trey Lance is the guy.
Yeah, maybe that's a plan. So
but here's the thing about Trey Lance. Is he even going to be the backup this year is what I would ask you. Like, if you really are actually grooming the next guy, you have Cooper Rush who can actually win you games, and I feel like he's going to be the backup, and Lance is, again, going to be third string.
I feel like we're going
it's not a real investment.
I feel like we're going all over the place here for a second. So what do you want to do at quarterback? You're criticizing the Cowboys as not having a plan this offseason.
Yeah.
What is the right plan then when it comes to Dak Prescott?
I think the plan would have been to extend him.
What's the plan now? Right.
The plan is to still extend him because here's the thing. You can extend Dak Prescott and you can try to find the next thing, and Dak Prescott will be tradable. Like, outside of a catastrophic injury, you can trade him.
He's going to be $60 million a year. No one's going to take on that contract if he doesn't win in the playoffs. He's absolutely untradeable.
Kirk Cousins just got his second $100 million contract.
Do you think
he hasn't
anyone
won jack squat in the playoffs, and teams would pay for him?
They pay for him. They pay for Dak, but they're not going to trade to pay a guy $60 million.
Have you seen the quarterback market out there? You can definitely find somebody who would want Dak Prescott. Absolutely.
At $60 million.
Yes.
No.
Perloff, that's
no.
Well, first of all, are you sure it's going to be 60?
That's what he's going for, right?
Okay, well, Joe Burrow is 55.
Okay, so if Dak
let's say it's 55.
Dak Prescott gets $55 million a year from the Cowboys, and he comes short in the playoffs. You're telling me there's someone else out there who's going to be like, oh, I'm going to take that $55 million contract off your hands?
And I'll tell you the team that would do it.
Who?
It's going to be the Raiders. It's going to be somebody who's so desperate, who can't figure this out on their own, who's absolutely going to do it.
That never happens. Guys at the top of the market are too scary to trade for. It's just never, ever happens.
Well, Matthew Stafford got traded.
He wasn't that expensive. How much do you think Matthew Stafford cost the Rams?
It doesn't matter, though, because he's going to get more money now. Like, he was the perfect example. He's the best possible example of how this works out because he went and won a Super Bowl. So he's totally worth it and was worth it for the Rams.
I just think that's a risky plan. We're going to sign Dak to all this money and then then trade him.
You know what's funny, though? You're the person who will tell me, well, the salary cap's going up. And
salary cap is going up,
and the quarterback salaries go up and up and up anyway. So
I think people
in 5 years, this isn't going to look bad.
You have to decide if you're the Cowboys. You know, there's only one way to rebuild. If Dak is not going to get you the Super Bowl, there's only one way to rebuild, and that is to not pay Dak Prescott. So that's the hard choice here. And it looks like they're making it. Yeah. And we're killing them now because they're not adding, some mid-level wide receiver. But the reality is they came this offseason and said, well, it's do or die time. You got 1 year left. You do not want to get caught with a $400 million deal for a 32-year-old Dak Prescott. That would be franchise killing.
I just where's the plan is what I would want to know. Because
this is the plan. I think the plan is to.
And who's the starting quarterback next year then?
I think you're in a much better position if you don't have a starting quarterback than stuck with a quarterback you don't like. That, and this is relevant to the NBA. Do you think the Sixers are going to love that Paul George contract in 3 years? We're going to look back and say, why are you paying $300 million to an aging player? And the Cowboys don't want to do that.
Well, first of all, the quarterback is way more important than the third guy on a title team, title contender.
Same dynamic with age and money, though.
But here's the thing. If the Cowboys were just smart and actually took care of Dak last year when this whole contract thing first came up, we've been talking about this now for 2 years. Imagine if they had just ripped the Band-Aid and done it last year. You wouldn't even be talking about $55 million. You'd be talking about way less, and you'd already be further into the contract. And you could be thinking about, is this a little bit more movable? Are we a little bit more flexible? Is this the Cowboys' own fault that they've gotten themselves into this situation? Whether it ends up working out for them, I have no idea what the future holds. But they are to blame for how little flexibility they have right now.
Well, I disagree with that because I think they would have to commit to Dak long term. I know there are a lot of fans who just don't want to do that. They just don't want 6 more years of Dak Prescott. And this is really the only way to do that is to let his contract run out. That's it. There's no other options here. Once you give him that gigantic deal that he wants, he's there for life.
855-212-4227. All right, so that's a little what's going on with the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb not going to be showing up to training camp unless he has a new deal. And Micah Parsons and Malik Hooker, two standouts on the defense, obviously. Having a little miscommunication.
Yeah. This is a team in the 90s who everybody wanted to kill each other and was getting arrested left and right and just dominated the field. Malik Hooker being mad at Micah Parsons, they'll be okay.
I know, but they don't have the winning that went along with all that grace that those Cowboys in the 90s got.
Yeah, but a little podcast fight and social media, that I think they'll be fine.
In this day and age, that's something. Okay, also, we have a send-up to our fallen comrade, E.J. Stewart. Tore his patella tendon in a freak charity kickball accident. Just brutal. But we have a little something that's going to make him feel just a little bit better. Do that next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we're back on Maggie and Perloff. Are the Cowboys a mess? Probably. But I do think, I really genuinely believe this, we do get a little over-invested in off-season storylines. Like, the reality is they're probably bringing back the same pretty good team from last year. I think they're doing something that you could be perceived as smart. They are saying this is the experimental year, one more year with Dak. If it doesn't work, it's time to move on. It feels like everybody forgot in January, everybody hated Dak. Everyone's like, we got to move on. This isn't working. And then they stopped, looked at the numbers and say, well, he was pretty darn good. I feel like he's had like a weirdly good offseason.
Well, he was like top 3 in MVP voting.
Yeah, but I mean, do you remember that day after the Packers game, after that first quarter where it was just a disaster?
Oh, I thought they were going to fire Mike McCarthy. I mean,
yeah, everyone thought, yeah, McCarthy, and also Dak was down too. Like, there's no way they're going to re-sign Dak for, whatever, 7 years, $350 million. It did not seem like a thing.
I know the crazy part, though, is that the Cowboys will continue to tell you how much they want to re-sign Dak Prescott. So they're messaging this all wrong if they don't really want to keep him. And secondly, there's no heir apparent in sight here. So, if you're going to say, oh, trust us, Cowboy fans, well, Cowboys haven't earned that trust, quite frankly. And if you're just going to say, well, whatever the market bears, maybe Matthew Stafford, maybe Aaron Rodgers, maybe God knows who, well, are we sure that's actually better than Prescott?
Well, you say heir apparent. I view it this way. Like, the most valuable team, and this is for NBA too, and any sport really, the most valuable thing you can have is all your expensive players get off the books, start over. Like, you have to have space and flexibility. And they have not had that in a long time. And if they sign these 3 guys, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Dak Prescott, they will not have flexibility again in my lifetime.
Well,
it's over.
Well,
that is the moves, and they're done.
But they could have had flexibility if they had just taken care of Dak earlier. And they've chosen not to have flexibility.
You say that. What do you think that was going to cost? What do you think Dak was going to cost them last year?
Well, last year quarterbacks were going for like $45 million, and this year they're going for like $55 million a year. And so it changes fast.
5 years, $45 million. You're not making another move for another 4 years. Like, you're stuck. I think
I disagree about whether Dak's tradable.
Tradable? Nobody of these, who gets traded at $50 million a year? Like, expensive guys are worth nothing.
What would happen if Dak Prescott hit the open market?
He'd get a lot of money, because to trade for him, like, you're going to give a bunch of first-round picks to pay Dak Prescott $50 million?
I watched it with Russell Wilson. I've watched it with Deshaun Watson. I've watched guys get traded.
And those are the 2 worst mistakes in the last 45 years of the NFL.
Dak doesn't have the masseuse thing hanging over his head. And he also is younger than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but we didn't know either of those things with Deshaun. We didn't know Deshaun was going to get hurt, and we didn't know Russell Wilson was going to be terrible. We don't know what's going to go wrong with Dak.
I'm just saying there's people out there who have taken bigger risks.
Yes, and they failed tremendous, like, famously, historically.
And I don't think that's going to keep the next person from doing it, because I don't think it's going to keep the Las Vegas Raiders from doing it. I don't think it would keep we could insert Miami Dolphins from doing it if they don't pay Tua. I don't think it's going to keep, there will always be teams who are going to be looking for a franchise quarterback, and Dak does fit that mold.
But the other thing too is the trades for Russell, the Seahawks had not paid, they didn't give that contract to Russell.
Right,
Denver did. Right, but you're saying the Cowboys should go ahead and pay, once you pay Dak all that money, like, it makes the trading really difficult. I think, and then Deshaun, they didn't pay him. Cleveland paid him. So you're saying that the next team pays Dak. But if Dallas came out and paid him $45 million last year, they'd be stuck with him for a long time. And by the way, that's probably going to happen. Dak is probably going to retire a Cowboy, and everyone's going to be like, why didn't we move on?
Adrian is in Maryland's got a thought on this. Good morning, Adrian. What's up, dude?
Hey, good morning. Hey, give my love to EJ. I just heard about it. Wow, with that patella tendon. That's gruesome. That's gruesome.
I know. He's going to be okay, though. He's in good spirits. Ryan is filling in admirably, and we're all going to get through it, especially EJ.
Sounds good. Hey, here's my thought. They're going to sign CD. They just picked up the 5th-year option for Micah, so we don't have to worry about that. Thing with Dak, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't think they didn't extend him because it gets Dak comfortable with the team where he can be great in the regular season and then have average or below average in the playoffs and then come back for another year. So I think they're just going to wait and see what happens after this year. And the heir apparent, I think, actually is Trey Lance. Just because we haven't seen him,
right,
or you haven't heard anything about him, that's probably a good thing. That's kind of a good thing because you just don't know what you're going to get. And, you let Dak go and you give Trey Lance maybe 4 years at $100 million. That's 25 a year, or maybe 30 a year. And then
maybe there's a middle ground. Adrian, we're going to know a little bit more about what the Cowboys think about Trey Lance, obviously, when it comes to, is he going to play the preseason? Because that's been the one thing. And Adrian, thanks so much. Good to talk with you. It's the one thing about Trey Lance. He's got no reps. And so having him third on the depth chart behind Cooper Rush does absolutely nothing for you. So we've got to see if he gets some significant playing time in the preseason, maybe he's got a shot to be the backup, but I don't think so. I think it's still going to be Rush.
So let's talk about real quarterback options. I think a couple names that you brought up. I think Matthew Stafford is obviously famously from Dallas. High school is Clayton Kershaw. I think that's a number one priority moving forward. If not, what about, you could go around the league. Like, there's going to be a lot of older, expensive. Kirk Cousins, I'm sure Atlanta would be dying to get rid of him.
There's Cousins an upgrade?
Maybe. It depends what Dak does in the playoffs.
Off an Achilles.
I don't know. I just think that they would rather start over. If Dak fails in the wild card again, I think that people are just going to be done. Done.
Here's a question for you.
And Rodgers, too, by the way. I think he'll be out there, too, next year.
Lovely. Okay, so I got a name here on the call screen. Hey, Ryan. So this is Big Daddy who's in Kentucky?
Yes.
This is not Big Dave?
Might have been Dave, but it sounded like Daddy.
Let's see. Is this Big Daddy or Big Dave?
It's both, baby. It's Big Dave.
Nailed it. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Long time no, huh?
I know. Well, we're talking about the Cowboys. Figure get you riled up. How you feeling?
Yeah, brought me out of retirement. To start with, McLevin, nobody's going to have to worry about Dak failing in the wild card game this year because they ain't making it. They're going 8-9. And listen, the dumbest thing, this has to be some kind of a political ploy. To say that Dak has all the leverage, I hear that over and over and over and over, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
How does Dak Prescott, with his track record, I know he's done okay during the regular season, explain to me, it's like everyone says that they can't replace him. Why did they even acquire Trey Lance to start with? Why was Trey Lance such a hot prospect coming out of college? I understand that Dak's serviceable, okay? But if you're, if the bar for your franchise is to squeak into the playoffs and then lose in the first round, I don't understand for the life of me. And I don't care because I hate the Cowboys now, by the way.
Yeah, I know. You've turned in your fan card. But wait, Dave, here's the thing, though. Dak Prescott is, you're going to wait around for what? Kirk Cousins? This is the thing why Dak Prescott has leverage is because teams are going to look at him and they're going to say, should we take a rookie or should we take Dak? Or we should take another quarterback who makes it to the open market or Dak. And I think Dak's going to start looking a lot more appealing to other teams than you think.
Well, let them have him.
Yeah.
Let me draw
so
a comparison here. Let me draw a comparison here.
Yeah.
To John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats. Okay? If you're satisfied with mediocrity, if you're satisfied on all your hype being based on what you've done in the past and the name on the front of your jersey and not really about ultimate results and about winning championships, status quo is fine. Myself, I've never been about that. I would rather clean house, start over, than what you're going to get with Dak Prescott. Everyone knows. After a while, what you do becomes who you are, and we know who he is. He gets the smallest during the biggest times.
Dave, question for you. Question for you, Dave, before you go. Thanksgiving versus July 4th, what's the better menu?
Thanksgiving. Oh man, it's got to be Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I mean,
Dave, I thought you'd be with me on this
I'm
one.
a barbecue smoking kind of guy, but it's got to be your turkey dressing, ham, mashed potatoes and gravy, sweet potatoes, green beans, pecan pie. Yeah, it's got to be Thanksgiving.
Hey, Dave, can I tell you 3 quarterbacks for the Cowboys for next year? I've been working on this quietly.
Absolutely.
Matthew Stafford, yay or nay?
Yay.
Aaron Rodgers, yay or nay?
Yay.
Deshaun Watson, yay or nay?
Nay.
You could tell Dave Foxborough High School quarterback, and he would say yay.
Why?
Dave, thank you so much.
Wow, nay on Deshaun, because that's a guy that I would imagine they're going to be looking at too. I mean,
Good luck with all that.
Good luck. You say good luck with all that, but the reality is they could be in a position to take a big swing at quarterback.
We have Andrew Bogusch. He's got headlines for us. We will get to the cheer up that we have for EJ. I have not forgotten about that.
It wasn't Dave?
Well, Dave does a lot. He pulls his weight around here.
Oh.
What else we got for headlines, though? We'll get to EJ's cheer up in a little bit.
Guys, officiating is not why U.S. men's soccer lost to Uruguay last night or why it's out of Copa America altogether, but the inexperienced Kevin Ortega did not do a good job running last night's match with Uruguay and Kansas City. U.S. captain Christian Pulisic voiced their displeasure throughout the game. Then Ortega wouldn't shake Pulisic's hand post-game. Christian said he saw things in this game last night that he had never seen before. But his bigger concern is the team failing to reach the knockout stage of a major event on U.S. soil for the first time ever.
It's difficult to say right now. Obviously, the emotions are running high. So, we had a good start and brought a lot of energy, but at the end of the day, just not enough quality. And yeah, I felt like we gave it everything, but just couldn't find the solutions to score.
That was post-match on FS1. The U.S. losing 1-0. Soccer metrics say the attack led by Pulisic deserved just a half a goal last night. The loss in Panama's 3-1 victory over Bolivia has Panama joining Uruguay in the quarterfinals. The U.S. Soccer Federation said a full review is coming that could lead to head coach Greg Berhalter losing his job. All quiet in NBA free agency at the moment. Major news should be hard to come by with the Celtics giving Jayson Tatum that historic 5-year, $314 million extension yesterday, and the Mavs winning the Klay Thompson chase, his contract $50 million over 3 years. The Warriors end up with 2 second-round picks in a sign and trade also involving the Hornets.
Hey, sorry, one thing about the Tatum contract. So how much did you say in an earlier update that these Celtics owners bought the team for? It was like $365 or something, right?
I think less than that. Let me see. What did
something like that.
What did I write?
And then
$360. You're right.
$360, and they just gave Tatum $314.
Mm-hmm.
How many years was that?
2002.
No. How many years for $314?
Oh, five.
5 years, $314. So the next head. So Luka, when he's going to be 5 years, like $414, right? Like this is all these contracts are child's play for what's next, right?
Well, Tatum's the first $70 million. Is it $70 million a year?
Is that 70? Oh, gosh. That's just do math.
No, it's 60-something, but I don't know if it's evenly distributed.
Right, and that's going to blow up. Like, this is like they signed Tatum before the next big jump comes, and that's going to be crazy.
Add that to the board.
Now you're mad? Why Pete's
NBA
mad?
contracts. Put that up there. Totally ridiculous for guys that always want to sit out and have rest days. Put it on the board.
Well, not Tatum. He plays a lot. Okay, this is the board of why Pete's mad. This has started yesterday. So far on the board, and you can watch us at youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. Hawk Tua merch, Gunnar Henderson, suspended coach from Uruguay. Didn't matter last night. Didn't need him. Zach Wilson's engagement got Pete really riled up. Tyrod Taylor as a landlord you did not like. And Perloff thinking he's Juju Smith-Schuster at a kickball event.
Wait, you said that?
That get there.
Wait a minute. Where did
I
that
did not
come
add
from?
that.
What?
That was not on my list.
Looks like someone was having fun with our board yesterday.
I think it was Bogusch.
No, that happened today. That happened last hour.
I didn't add anything to that board.
Hashtag
I don't think-
about social media.
I don't think Pete cares if I'm Juju or not. Like,
No,
pretty agnostic to Juju Smith-Schuster.
You go out there like you're Tyreek Hill. It doesn't matter.
While the board is open, though, I was going to say this for next hour. Let's do it now. I have an update and maybe an addition to the board. The addition would be your thoughts on a former Jets employee suing the Jets over their new/old logo because he says that he created it, so he wants rights to it, and I guess money and to have to sign off on the Jets reusing this logo.
Well, where was he last year when they brought it back as a retro?
Okay, so is he on the board or not?
Yeah, he's on the board. Put him on the board.
All right, so now
Jets logo guy?
Jets logo guy? Okay,
yes.
hold on one second. Jets logo guy.
Yep. And then as far as the sweet Haktua girl goes.
Yeah, I think I shortchanged her.
She was on a podcast yesterday and said on top of selling all this merch with Haktua on it, she was offered $600 to sell her spit per jar. $600 per jar.
You know what? I saw that, and she was grossed out by it.
Yes.
And I'm like, girl, you're never going to make it if you're grossed out by that. You should be doing this. Like, oh, you just want my spit in a jar? Fine. And sell it for $600?
Well, listen, you sell your feet, so I don't know.
I never said I would.
Here.
I was trying to get some partners on this foot website. I said I would sell my feet, and Perloff tried to talk me out of it.
You know what? I've watched a couple clips of her in interviews. Like, she's like shockingly normal, which is the funny thing. Like, she seems like the most average person. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, there's nothing like spectacular about her except for this one little quote.
Well, also all these all this misinformation that's come out about her.
Yeah.
She's 21. I mean, she's super young. Yeah. She's definitely not a school teacher. She works at a spring factory.
I heard the clip too. I don't know what she said still.
I thought she said spring factory.
That's what it sounded like, but is that a thing?
For like trampolines and stuff?
That's what I mean. Like making like
I was like, maybe it's like soap. I have no idea.
Like Irish Spring?
Yeah. Ryan thought maybe it's something to do with the season of spring.
No, we don't make weather yet.
Yeah, gardening.
All things spring.
Yeah.
And her dad's not a preacher.
Yeah, she goes, and my dad's so far from not a preacher. I was like, oh, man, let's get the dad out here. What does he have to say?
So wait a minute.
Sell his spit.
Did she accept
where she learned it.
$600 for that? Did she accept the $600?
No, she said no.
She was very, she was grossed out by that.
You know what? Take her off the list.
That's what's grossing you out?
Take her off the list.
By the way, I actually, if you watch her interviews, Pete, you would really like this young woman.
You know what? I'm starting to come around to this.
Yeah.
Take her off the list.
All right, you're not mad anymore.
Her singing was bad at the Zach Bryan concert, but that's a lot of pressure.
Everyone's singing's bad at concerts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some singers.
I didn't know we were allowed to remove things from the board.
Yes, this board is very transparent.
Something new every day.
It's like a ladder board or whatever. It's like people moving up and down.
I want to do a forensic dive. Who put me being Juju on the board?
That's odd because I didn't touch that
I think
board.
someone else in this room was annoyed by that.
I think this is probably Gelber Samter from yesterday.
Handwriting test?
Oh, do we have a sample, anybody?
I have to come in and take a look. I could probably tell by the handwriting.
But guys, you've been sitting here all morning. Nobody walked in around you and wrote on that board?
You think that we'd know that? We don't notice anything.
So.
I think Maggie Gray is the number one candidate on this.
No, right there you can. The writing is not the same.
Who the heck did this?
Gelb.
Was it you, Bogusch?
No, but also that happened last hour.
Are you sure?
Do we have
the hashtag all about this? All about social media was something Perloff said last hour when we played the clip of Gelb calling him Juju.
Hashtag all about his social media. Terrible hashtag.
No, maybe it was yesterday. Well, do our cameras capture that board?
They should. Is Caplan working today? Was this there at 6:00 when we signed on?
I don't know.
Because there's got to be forensic evidence here. Ryan, did you come in here at the break and write that?
I don't have that need of handwriting.
Can't be the new guy.
Well,
Ryan, you're not that new, I guess. Caplan is working from home today.
We need video evidence. If it was here at 6 a.m., then it was Gelb.
Maggie, you might be right. Maybe it was Gelb yesterday.
I think it was. They love our whiteboard.
So wait, but do they even understand what the board is about?
Yes, Gelb is aware of Pete's
It says right on the top, Pete's mad.
Yeah. Then why would Gelb assume that random one that was Pete? I think this is a huge whiteboard foul on the Gelb team.
I just received a text from Zach Gelb saying it was him.
Oh, wow. Didn't have to hold his feet to the fire.
But I don't understand. The brilliant thing about Pete being mad is that it's like the most unpredictable thing on planet Earth.
That's right.
For other people to assume what Pete's going to be mad about, I think is folly, because it'll just be the random thing of like, hey, I ordered donuts the other day. Don't get me started. I'm like, don't get me started.
The Uruguay coach.
That's the brilliance of
really
Pete.
That's right.
That's the brilliance of Pete. He will be mad at things that no one else on earth is mad about. So other people kind of predicting what Pete is going to be mad about is no good to me.
That's right. Those are imposters. Total imposters.
Yes.
All right. Well, you want me to erase it?
Yes. It's not part of my board.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Zach, did all that work. He got the whole charity kickball thing together.
And look what happened. Should we put Zach Gelb on the board?
Yeah, we should put Zach Gelb on the board.
The thing about Pete is like, hey, I went to the Gap and bought a new shirt the other day. Don't get me started on new shirts. That's the amazing thing. Just you never know. It's
Gap.
Yeah.
What year is it?
Regardless, like there's just nothing about Pete that's predictable where he's going to get mad. That's why it's Pete's mad board, not what we're mad about.
That's right.
Obviously, Zach is mad that I was social influencing. I was doing a TikTok on the base pass.
Also, have you ever met Perloff? Of course he's there to get the social media post. I mean, you were also there in the game.
Oh, my God. I was there because I stupidly committed to it. I made that classic human mistake. Commit to something 6 weeks from now. And, the rule, don't commit to it if you wouldn't do it tomorrow. And I ignored my own advice and said, yeah, kickball in New Jersey. In June? Yeah. Why not? You did the same thing.
NFL player?
Yeah. In June, Rahway, New Jersey? Sure. Why not? Then the week leading up to, I'm like, dear God, how on earth do I get out of this?
When I saw that thing, the first thing I did was put it into the GPS. 2 hours, that's it. No.
And I'm still laughing at Maggie going, we don't know how Bogusch got out of it. Like, I just said no. It wasn't.
There's been a strong movement on text for all of us to get together and have beers and burgers by the pool next time instead of something athletic. That seems to be the trend.
Yeah.
Pool.
TBD. Yours.
I don't have one. That was why I was asking.
Well, that's going to be embarrassing when we all show up with our beers and hot dogs.
I got a slip and slide.
I would say start digging.
We got splash pads at the Bloody House.
There we go. It's good enough for us.
A giant water slide, actually.
We're flat out of time for an update, but thank you so much for all of that. Pete's Mad Board has been updated. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Coming up, we've got our winners and losers from NBA free agency. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. Of NBA free agency is going to have to wait just a moment because Zach Gelb, who organized the charity kickball tournament, well, Deion Dawkins from the Bills actually organized it, but Zach organized our team. We went and played. Our executive producer, EJ Stewart, got hurt in the top of the first inning, and it really cast a shadow on the rest of the day. Now Zach's been on our whiteboard. He's calling me Jamarcus Russell and Perloff Juju Smith-Schuster, and now he's got a theory about EJ and his injury. Zach, you are all up in our lives. Good morning. How are you doing?
Well, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. And Maggie, I'm a little bit disappointed because I expected more out of you, but I appreciate how you went into mom mode to go protect EJ.
Thank you for the kind words about my husband, by the way, the Pele of our team. I appreciate that.
He is sensational. But I knew Perloff had no heart in this game. When I was reading off the lineup, he's like, actually bat me last, so I have to do the least amount of running possible and get the fewest at-bats. That's what I was really disappointed with Perloff.
Well, yeah, but after EJ got hurt, Zach, I was like, oh, thank God I had less at bats because it's dangerous. That sport is more dangerous than you told us.
You ruined the moment with Deion. Deion is like blessing the leg of EJ, providing all these words of encouragement. And Perloff interrupts it and goes, guys, we need a group picture. Deion, you down to take the picture? It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, my gosh. You know, we did mention this yesterday. Deion was very gracious he was definitely felt very bad about what happened with EJ, the torn patellar tendon, and offered to make it right. And Deion handled that as good as anyone could have. It was just a terrible situation. But, Zach, we heard that you have a theory on EJ's injury. So what is it?
So this came across my desk. I would never just throw a theory out of my you-know-what. I wonder how legit this injury actually is with EJ. I think he made it up. I think he intentionally dove at third base and wanted me to carry him off the field just so you guys would have sympathy for him and get him out of the gassers. So I think we need to actually see how legit this injury is and get a doctor note because someone told me he kind of milked it to get out of the gassers.
You know what? So when you're talking about the gassers, this was a bet that EJ lost to Perloff on how many quarterbacks would be drafted in the first round. EJ lost that bet, so he had to run the gassers. You think he's going to have surgery, Zach? You think this is an elaborate scheme to get out of the gassers? He's going under the knife.
I'm told he is close with the doctor who is going to go through with this, not actually perform the surgery, but pretend like he's performing the surgery. And EJ's just going to be sitting there and enjoying some good food in the doctor's office when he pretends to get the surgery done. That's what I'm told.
Okay, Zach, how did he make that popping sound out of his knee? Was that some sort of prop?
Oh, my gosh.
I remember Pop Rocks when you were a kid. I heard he had a lot of Pop Rocks in his mouth when he was rounding third.
And how did he make his kneecap do that thing where it wasn't where it was supposed to be?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm just going off what people tell me. You know, I recently got back from Egypt. I was in a cave with Aaron Rodgers, and I walked out of that cave, and he's like, maybe my injury wasn't legit either.
I have a question, Zach. So you made great player comps, and I totally buy Juju for me, Maggie's Jamarcus Russell.
Totally good. I was not in the game.
Who were you?
I was Mo Vaughn in the Mets. Except I will say, you know, David Mayernick, by the way, we have to maybe do what they did to Clifford Franklin in The Replacements and get his hands a little extra sticky next time he plays. He dropped way too many kickballs.
Well, what about the fact that Dave is the only person in the whole tournament who got caught stealing?
Yeah, that was miserable. He was like Roger Cedeno on the Mets now, Maggie.
Oh, my gosh. I know. Well, I have to say, EJ, you know, his basically kneecap was in, you know, Hackensack, but he didn't get caught stealing.
Yeah, EJ actually ended up with great stats, Zach. He was 1 for 1 and a stolen base. People are going to look at the box score and not know the whole story.
It's one of the great stories of fighting through adversity. I know he was cooked for the rest of the tournament, but if he would have stole that third base, and it would have led to us to a victory, it would have been one of the all-time great runs.
Zach Gelb, you can listen to him on Infinity Sports Network on the Zach Gelb Show. Appreciate it, Zach, with your conspiracy theories. Get out of here. Get out of here. Coming up next, Andrew Brandt's going to join us to talk more about Aaron Rodgers.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We've got questions. We need answers. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We get back to NBA free agency in just a moment because we did have some breaking news right now, which is Donovan Mitchell has signed his extension. Am I seeing this correctly here, Pearl?
3 years, 150, right?
3 years, 150. He is going to stay with the Cleveland
Wow.
Cavaliers. And listen, he has a lot of power, clearly. I think he wanted a coaching change. They acquiesced to that. And now he gets a big-time contract extension.
Wow. If $50 million a lot in the NBA, though? That's like backup shooting guard money. I can't believe that's all he gets.
I know.
Isn't
How's he
he
gonna
triple
eat?
supermax third apron eligible?
There's a third apron. Oh, my
I don't
goodness.
know. But it's funny. That feels kind of modest. But kind of a shame, though, because you don't think he'll be a contender with the way the team is now, and he could have been a great piece. Anyway.
Okay, well, to answer all questions, contract and otherwise, we welcome in one of the absolute experts when it comes to the business of sports. In fact, that's the name of his podcast. He's the executive director of the Morad Center at Villanova. He's got a Sunday 7 newsletter, Sports Illustrated, so much more. Andrew Brandt, good enough to join us. Andrew, it's been a while. Thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be with you guys. Always good to see you, Maggie. Andrew, I'm a fellow Andrew, and I'm a fellow Sixers fan, so I'm Jack.
Well, Andrew, I was thinking about your career. You made a terrible mistake. You should have dropped the NFL agent, NFL executive, and become an NBA agent. Do you regret not getting involved in that game?
Yeah, that was the beginning of my career. I worked for David Falk.
Oh, you did? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
Michael Jordan time. But I remember salaries then. I remember representing Danny Ferry, who was the second pick of the draft, and he was making almost $2 million a year. And it's just incredible to see these numbers now. It looks like if you're going to be a starter, any kind of starter in the NBA, making less than 8 figures is really a cheap contract right now. It's really become something with the NBA contracts. If they get this media deal done, we're going to be talking average salaries close to $20 million. That's just amazing.
Average, yeah, and the high end $70 million now a year, which is what, Jayson Tatum is now in the neighborhood of. Andrew Brandt, good enough to join us. We've got so many questions for you, but let's stay on contract stuff because you're a former agent, obviously, front office of the Green Bay Packers. I mean, this is your wheelhouse. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys and you look at Dak Prescott doesn't have a contract extension, CeeDee Lamb reportedly not going to show up to training camp without a new contract. Micah Parsons eligible for a contract, but maybe that one can be on the back burner for a minute. What do you see? Do you see intelligence here from the Cowboys front office? Do you see negligence? Like, what does this mean to you?
Well, on the football side, as you know, I'm also a Packers fan still from my time there. And I was there at the implosion of the Cowboys in Dallas in January when the Packers rolled them off the field. And I thought, with the impetuousness we know from Jerry Jones, that the coach that I hired 17 years ago, Mike McCarthy, would be fired, but he wasn't. And he's kind of on a lame duck year. And as you mentioned, so is, for the moment, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and most importantly, Prescott. I think this revolves around Prescott. I really do. I think the whole thing. I said this for years. He's got the best contract for the player side of any young quarterback. Because a couple years ago, not only did he do the market, which was 40 a year, 4 years, 160, but he did a 4-year deal. So basically, they're negotiating the whole time. And they got 1 year left, and it's a cap killing number. And it's a cap killing number if they franchise him next year. It's a cap killing number if they redo him. He's got all the leverage. He's got Jerry Jones over the barrel. And what I'm seeing now, my guess, they're going to let it ride. They're going to let it ride with Prescott. And that means let it ride with Prescott, let it ride with Lamb, let it ride with Parsons, and let it ride with Mike McCarthy. That's just the way I'm viewing the Cowboys right now, because usually they jump in early in the offseason, they extend all these guys, they give them huge bonuses, and everything with Lamb and Parsons depends on Prescott to get the cap room. So I just think this seems like a roll the dice year for the Cowboys. And maybe it's a whole different look next year, but we'll see.
What if they do let it ride, Andrew? What does that actually mean for the quarterback position next year?
Well, it's only going up, as we all know. And the numbers for Prescott when he did it were $40 million a year. That was the market. Now it's 55. And we'll see what it is next year. I know people will say, well, he's not that good or what. Listen, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're that level and it's time, you're going to get the market. And if the Cowboys move away from him this time next year, there'll be plenty of suitors. It's just, you can't find free agent quarterbacks like Prescott. So whatever you think of Dak and compared to this quarterback or that quarterback, he's going to be paid. I don't think he's going to be a tag guy next year. So either they pay him or someone else will.
Andrew Brandt is joining us. He knows more about contracts and the business of sports than anybody. He's the executive director of the Morad Center at Villanova. He's got a Sunday 7 newsletter. It's fantastic. Sports Illustrated, longtime front office with the Packers, longtime player agent as well. You know, if only the Cowboys had the foresight that the Packers always have, which is getting another quarterback in the building long before you ever need that quarterback. And Andrew, you know so much about Aaron Rodgers. You guys worked together for so long. What are you anticipating that Rodgers' comeback is going to be like this year if he's healthy?
Well, I mean, I'm an unabashed fan of Aaron. I've always been. We were, you know, it's so the deja vu 15 years later, which I was not a part of, taking Jordan Love when Aaron was on the roster, as we did with taking Aaron when Brett was on the roster, and got so much negative feedback on that from our fans, from media, from everyone. So I just think Aaron has the best ball skills of any quarterback still. And when I say ball skills, that doesn't mean deep throw. That doesn't mean he's the best quarterback. I just think he can get ball in places that no one else can. So I'm bullish on him. Obviously, injury's the risk. It was last year. You get older, no matter how great you keep yourself in shape, it's going to be a risk. And of course, the AFC has so many great teams and quarterbacks besides the Jets. So we'll see. He obviously did a contract last year for $75 million. It was $109 million. That was reduced to 75. He made 37 last year. He's going to make 38 this year, fully guaranteed. And whether it's a swan song for Aaron or not, we'll see. But I'm bullish on his chances.
You know, Andrew, I don't think this is going to end up mattering once you get into training camp and once the season starts, obviously. But were you surprised that Rodgers had the unexcused absence from the mandatory minicamp, and it turns out seems like it was maybe just to take a trip to go to see Egypt and go see the pyramids?
Yeah, it does seem odd that he does seem to have a close relationship with the coach and a close relationship with management that started when they came out in the private plane last year to visit him, that this would be unexcused, that whatever he had planned, and the dates are known for a long time. But you're right. It won't mean anything going forward. And speaking from experience as a front office executive, the media got more bristled of guys missing the offseason than the teams do. I can tell you that. Teams know they'll be there in training camp. Even, CeeDee Lamb talking about not being there, he'll be there. Our feeling was he'll be there because the penalties are so harsh in the CBA. They'll be there at some point. So, and even if it's a couple weeks in, that doesn't matter. You get more reps for guys behind them. So everything will be fine.
Andrew, are you struck? You must think about it a lot, how similar Rodgers' trajectory has been to Brett Favre. And remember, Brett Favre had that great first year with the Vikings. Is it going to play out like that? It's going to be similar, where Rodgers is going to be good again. And then I was wondering, too, is Rodgers' last team the Jets? I don't even know, where's his career go from here?
Well, as I'm sure you talk all the time, he's got a lot of other interests besides football. So he may pursue those in a year, and it's hard to predict. But yeah, I mean, Brett still had it, and Aaron still has it. It was just time. And listen, I was part of that divorce, and it was just in a messy time. And I give Aaron a lot of credit. He kept his head down. He stayed quiet throughout it all. And Jordan Love has done the same thing. Like 3 years in this day and age, waiting to be a quarterback for 3 years, that's a lifetime. A lifetime. I think Mahomes said a year. No other first-round pick seems to sit more than a few games. So I don't think people have a true appreciation. I would hear from Brett's people all the time, like, do you know what it's like to come into work every day and sit with your replacement? And then I would hear with Aaron's people, like, is he ever going to play? Is he ever going to play? And so this is what they dealt with 3 years with Jordan and Aaron. It's not as easy as people think to be an apprentice for that long.
I would just let that call go to voicemail if I were you. I don't know if that was a possibility.
Yeah, that was the doorbell. Sorry. Doorbell.
Yeah, right. I'll get right back to you. Andrew Brandt joining us for just a few more minutes. He's the executive director of the Morad Center of Villanova. He's got a Sunday 7 newsletter, Sports Illustrated, the Business of Sports podcast, former front office with the Packers, former player agent, has done it all. Okay, we know that Giants Hard Knocks, off-season Hard Knocks is going to start tonight. Okay, so we get this is like, for people like you, Andrew, this is going to be like catnip. I mean, this is awesome. If you could have the unfiltered access and be a fly on the wall to any front office in the NFL, who would you want to see what the real workings are like behind the scenes?
Oh, wow. That's a surprise question. It would be one of these teams that are heavy on analytics, and really sort of get into where their decision-making is, how much they rely on the analytics team. I know Howie in Philly does a lot. We started to in Green Bay. I'm sure they're into it a lot. Obviously, the 49ers, I think that would be interesting. They have a heavy analytics department. I'm sorry I'm not giving a straight answer, but I think any of the teams that really sort of, are they bringing in, for lack of a better word, the nerds? And why aren't they signing this guy? And again, what they're going to show tonight and onward is a lot of things that I think we'll get into that. I think the Saquon thing is fascinating because no one can dispute he's one of the top backs in the league, but what do you pay for a top back? And most teams would not pay what the Eagles would pay for any back except McCaffrey. They just wouldn't. And it becomes a principled decision rather than a decision about the player himself. So this will be fascinating. That decision I would really like to hear about tonight in this series. What did they decide on Barkley?
All right, Andrew, without getting into too many details about the Netflix ruling, just tell me how much should I set aside to spend for the Sunday ticket rebate that's coming my way? What is this? We're talking $100, $200? No, but now, of course, the NFL lost a lawsuit to Netflix, and now former Sunday ticket, not Netflix, I'm sorry, they lost this lawsuit, and former Sunday ticket buyers are going to get a rebate, hopefully, eventually. Where does that all stand? And honestly, Maggie and I have been wondering, what do we get? Because we've had Sunday tickets for years.
Unfortunately, don't hold your breath. Listen, I won't go into a lot of legalese, but the NFL lost a jury verdict. The judge, and I followed this case, seemed kind of pro-NFL and against the plaintiffs throughout the case. But it wasn't for the judge. It was for the jury. So they ruled that the NFL, quote unquote, conspired with ESPN, CBS, and Fox to sort of keep this price high. and not allow the out of market games to be single. I'm a Packers fan living out of town. I'd love to buy Packers for $50, like you guys maybe, and just not spend the $350. You can't do that. That was the genesis of the lawsuit. NFL says, hey, we got this exemption back in 1961 to collectively sell the teams to the networks. So we don't have the Cowboys doing their own deals and the Raiders doing their own deals. And that should apply to Sunday Ticket as well. The jury disagreed. But now we go to the judge. Next date is July 31st. He may remove the verdict. He may lower it. Then they'll go to the Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit and eventually the Supreme Court. So don't hold your breath. I just think the money's not coming. And when it does, to go through these class actions and the lawyer's fees, as you know, I talk about all the time, maybe you're looking at $50 if you get it.
That's disappointing.
Be easy. Perloff already spent that in his DraftKings account. It was already, the money was already spent.
Maggie had a good idea that they should just offer that money as a rebate on the Sunday Ticket product moving forward. So then you get your hooks into new users as well. But that's kind of a bummer, Andrew. I was hoping you'd tell me I was getting $300.
I know, and I talked to one of the league lawyers, and they feel good about this case. They still do. I mean, the NFL knows when it has bad facts. In the St. Louis case, they had bad facts, and they paid up $800 million settlement. In the concussion case, they had bad facts. They paid up. They're pretty pro on this case. They just think they have the right law on their side, and despite the jury verdict. So we'll see.
Andrew, one quick one from me. We're getting up against the break. Why do you think the Boston Celtics owners are selling now and on the tail of Mark Cuban last year? Is there something behind the scenes going on financially with the NBA that now is a good time to sell?
Well, they're about to get their media deals done, so the price is going up based on that. And then, of course, as everyone's seen, they've just re-upped Jayson Tatum. They have the two biggest contracts in the league right now on one team. They have all 5 starters making more than $30 million. Somebody else is going to pay the bulk of those salaries. It's the simple thought in my mind is they bought low and they're selling high. It seems odd. Yeah, it seems odd, but they see what's coming down the road with these salaries, like Cuban, I think. That's part of it. These are massive payrolls ahead.
Andrew Brandt answering all of our sports business questions. Thank you, Andrew. Of course, the executive director of the Morad Center at Villanova, the Sunday 7 newsletter, Sports Illustrated, Business of Sports podcast, former Packers front office, and former player agent. You answered all our questions, Andrew. Thank you so much for doing it.
Always enjoyed, guys. Talk soon.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. The player contracts are nuts. And for the Celtics, who not only got a deal done last year with Brown, this year Tatum and Derek White, don't forget, he got a nice contract extension in there too. It's just bananas.
Well, I know. I'm just like being a fan. I'm like, yeah, but your team is awesome. So like, why are you selling now? You're selling at the top. But Jayson Tatum's 27 years old. Like, sell when he's 32. That's what I would have done.
We've got winners and losers from NBA free agency. Also, some breaking news for you on that front. Another all-NBA player has signed a new deal. Who is it? We'll tell you next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Defensive Player of the Week. Ryan, you picked this, right?
Yes, I did.
I mean, I think there's an obvious, this Portugal goalie went bananas last night, Diego Costa. I actually watched part of the game, was not around for the penalty kicks or whatever they call them, and I guess I saw the highlights. It's incredible. It's like he was in the mind of the offensive player. He's got to be the Defensive Player of the Week.
And he is. He had 2 saves in regulation in the round of 16. That was...
That's not how we do it, Ryan. Then Maggie gives a counter, because I got that first. She has to come up with
try. I was surprised. I was like, okay, I'm gonna choose basic, like, I don't know, baseball or women's basketball. No, I went like, okay, let me do the Euros. And you got on the first shot.
Sniffed it out. I saw the footage of Ronaldo crying because he missed a penalty kick, but they
won
anyway.
And then he got redemption. Yeah. People were saying,
why was he crying so much?
Well, that's it. We're about to talk about NBA salaries. I was thinking about that guy's made $1 billion or something in his life. I know he's had some tax issues, but still, like, if you're that rich, are you still at 38? Because he kind of cost him the game. Is that still such a big deal to Cristiano Ronaldo that made him cry? I was shocked.
Wait, I thought, did Portugal win the game or lose?
Yeah,
so they won the game. They won the game and kicked.
He missed his penalty kick during the game.
Yeah, he had a penalty kick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Not in the overtime.
I was like, wait a minute, what happened? But I was surprised to see him crying that much.
Yeah, it's The Euros, I know, are a big deal, but it's not the World Cup. This struck me as odd.
I think he has cried before. I don't. I think this is part of the Ronaldo experience.
Did he have something else going on? Maybe
like in his eye.
I don't know.
It's dusty in here.
I'm quoting Vince Vaughn from Swingers. Yeah, it was so good the cameraman cried. But I think he has something else going on at home. But
I guess he still cares after all those millions and billions of dollars. And
that Portugal goalie was like a panther. I mean, I've never seen a goalie. That was I said that he was like a jungle cat. I don't know how he he dove like 9 feet in the air and blocked it every shot. It was. There's nothing like a goalie on a heater in soccer. Don't ask me why. I've never mentioned another goalie in any Euro competition in the history. I couldn't
you don't
name
even know this guy's name.
The only other goalie I can name is Tony Miola, and he's been around for 30 years.
And you just said there's nothing like a soccer goalie on.
Well, I was actually thinking. I was thinking of Tim Thomas and the Bruins and a hockey goalie, like a hockey goalie standing on his head.
Tim Thomas, that was at least a decade ago.
Yeah, I've never
seen it before.
Well, I was thinking
it's great.
You guys know, like a hot goalie is a big deal in hockey, so I'm just assuming the soccer is the same way.
We just saw Bobrovsky. You could have just used him.
Yeah, but he was kind of up and down. But anyway, he's let up 8 goals in a game. He's no Diego Costa, Maggie.
Oh, right.
Diogo?
It's not Diego?
No.
He's pronounced Diogo? Yeah, I knew I had it wrong. Damn it.
Sorry, Tim Howard was always be your guy.
Tim Howard. Yeah, on Everton.
Now I know 3.
I know 3. Wait. Is there any other famous soccer goalies? Pete Bellotti, can you name another soccer goalie?
No chance.
Does Jake Bogusch play some goalie?
He does not.
What about Jack?
Nope, neither one. Too short, both of them.
Do you know any soccer goalies?
No, I was actually surprised at the amount of restraint that Perloff showed earlier today in a break when Bogusch is going to be hosting with Perloff tomorrow. And he's like, hey, I'm just let you know I've got my kid's baseball game from 4:30 to 8:30, so if you want to do a call later. And the fact that you didn't mention anything about how bad the baseball team is.
Yeah.
I find that was were you surprised, Bogusch? I was like, here comes the
Progress.
dig.
No.
I was waiting for something.
Wait, by the way, 4-hour
need a
baseball
coach?
game. First of all, Jake's team could lose 6 times in 4 hours. What's going on here?
See, that's what I was expecting.
Thanks, Maggie.
No, why is it a 4-hour baseball game? I did wonder that.
The window of me having a hard time being on the phone is 4 hours. So I got to get him to the field for warm-ups. Then the game is from 6 to 8-ish. There's no guaranteed end. Then I got to feed him. Then we got to get home.
Oh, my God. That is a nightmare.
He's a coach.
It's not a nightmare. It's a huge game, though. Do or die. Elimination game.
Wait, you don't think 4 hours out of your day to do a Little League game for a 10-year-old is a nightmare?
Well, slow down. This is not a Little
ultimate
League game.
nightmare.
This is District
travel.
29 semifinals.
It's a Little League game.
It's
How old is your son?
10.
It's not Double-A baseball. It's a Little League game. Don't think that's a technicality.
He's 10. He can't play Double-A. This is the best. This is the highest level he can play at.
Wait, so now all of
he's
a
playing
sudden,
an elimination game.
Your 10-year-old son's baseball is not called. When I say Little League, I don't mean official. Like that's Little League baseball. That's not Little League baseball.
Here's a question: who's more nervous for the elimination game tonight, Jake Bogusch or Andrew Bogusch?
It's a blanket answer. All the parents are more worked up about this than the kids are, which we think is the problem. Not sure. Maybe we're the problem. We'd like them to be a little more worked up for these games.
A little more anxiety.
Yeah, like just show up. They play. It was 3-0 and then 7-0 in a hurry the other game.
Come on, guys. Time to be stressed.
We didn't follow up that 33-0 blowout as well as we were hoping.
Gosh.
Let's learn stress and anxiety as early as humanly possible.
Is there a mercy rule?
There is a mercy rule, yes.
And as a parent, you're not rooting for the mercy rule so you can go home?
Well, we were rooting for the run rule last week, and then they scored 28 runs in an inning, and that threw off the entire let's go home early plan.
Oh,
yeah. Perloff said, what's going to take 4 hours? They could lose 6 times.
Yeah.
That wasn't nice.
Encouragement. Pass it on.
But you should have seen me at our kickball game the other day. I was like,
I saw you. You couldn't get your pants off, so I think you should leave the 10-year-olds alone.
Honestly,
no, but I couldn't wait for us to lose. I'm like, just try and steal third and get caught. We need to go home. EJ's hurting. Let's get out of here.
Well, Jake Bogusch actually should look at that and just point and laugh Nelson from Simpsons style, just like, because we looked awful. So we should not be making fun of him.
I made one thing clear. Jake Bogusch
we're not making fun, obviously.
No. Jake Bogusch is like Barry Bonds on the Giants on this team. It's not Jake. He's like, if it was up to the coach, Jake would hit second, sixth, and ninth and play left, short, and first. It's the rest of the team looks like the Bad News Bears I don't know.
The bottom drops out like no place else on the
Yeah. This is not top heavy. Their payroll, they're like the Phoenix Suns. They're very top heavy. Trust me, Jake's fine. I am never insulting Jake's game. Solid as a rock.
How about
it's the rest of these clowns.
Right, Jake Voskuhl at third base is the issue.
How about you do some analytics?
Yeah.
The analytics are wake up, boys.
I don't think
the ball
Dan
comes to you, catch it, and throw it to the right base. You don't need to slash anything or OPS for that.
I don't think Craig Counsell's walking through that door.
No.
That was the team I saw, but that's not the team that's playing tonight, right?
Partially. We got a couple extra kids on this team.
Are you gonna give some smelling salts to the right fielder?
And that is our concern.
For the umpire?
The last thing the coach said yesterday as we were leaving practice was, now nobody's swimming the pool tomorrow. It's going to be nice. No pools. Pools zap your energy. Stay out of the pool.
Wow.
I don't know if that's right or not, but anything that keeps them fresh is a good idea because they like to be comatose at the wrong moment.
How about a little big league chew?
I have a Mountain Dew. Take a bath in that. Let it go through your pores.
I think we should all, honestly, that's one of the most entertaining afternoons I've ever had is when I surprisingly showed up at the Bogusch. You were shocked. But I gotta tell you, it was so much fun.
Book, I was so
it was
shocked
so
by
much
it.
fun, and
26 runs, not 28.
It's not like you think. There's so much going on at Little League Baseball. There's parents doing things. There are kids who may or may not be paying attention. There's then the other team, like they're a bunch of 11-year-olds with mustaches that's throwing 88 miles an hour. I'm like, what is going on with this team?
Wait, I have a question for you. Win or lose? Pizza for everyone? Ice cream for everyone? Or no? Not in this league.
No. I mean, no. There's no post-game spread waiting for them. No. And plus, it's not late tonight. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is not.
You don't do ice cream win or lose. Ice cream's for winners only?
No. There's just no ice cream. There's nothing like that.
It's a coffee for closers kind of situation.
Yeah,
Can I ask you a question? What is the worst youth sport as far as time consuming for parents?
Oh, it's got to be baseball.
It's hockey, right?
Well, hockey. The problem with hockey is that it's always early in the morning
or late at night.
That's when rinks are available.
Right. I've heard hockey nightmares, but soccer travels more too. That's I've heard nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, baseball they all have different levels. It's not how much you or I guess your kid wants to be involved. You can be on these mini professional teams, or you can play something that's just a little more difficult than Little League.
I think it's a tie between baseball, soccer, and lacrosse. Because you can just anywhere. You can go anywhere.
Yeah. And you can play, you can go to a lacrosse thing on a Saturday and play 6 games. And you're just sitting under a tent watching your kid run himself into the ground.
Oh, sounds awesome.
Have you ever talked to a hockey parent? That's like post-traumatic stress disorder. Their faces are not happy.
But I mean, Maggie, you're an accomplished tennis player.
Yeah.
Your husband played Ivy League soccer. I mean, Luke is going to be doing something and probably well, too. So get ready for it.
Wait, did Andy play at Cornell?
No.
I was about to say that's like the 17th team in the country.
I think he was playing a little club.
I thought he was besting.
That's what Zach said, that he played college soccer. A little club.
So he played Dartmouth JV basketball's version of soccer.
Kind of.
That was very much club. Hey, Meg, what sport is your son going to play based on all this? What you're learning from Bogusch?
He's going to code.
Yes.
and I'm going to retire.
He's going to do the analytics.
Can I ask that one more question? Don't they all want to play video games? Isn't that the real passion?
Well, that's the go to bed tonight thing. Well, last night too was no. But the good thing is you can track how they're all playing. So they're going to show up today and they'll be like, "Hey, Luke, you were on too late." Or heard you guys.
That's what zaps your energy, not the pool.
Yeah, no,
right.
Fortnite. Yes, until 11:30 at night. Go to bed.
Gosh.
There are some rules in my house, at least.
What if they play a baseball game?
Doesn't count.
Is MLB The Show on Dynasty mode?
Yeah.
Can you take some videos tonight, so we could talk about it tomorrow?
Yeah, we have not graduated. Usually, a lot of these games are streamed online. And
You're kidding me?
Yeah, I could very easily.
Is this one?
Show you videos. I don't think that we're there yet, technologically. Our tech staff is still lacking.
Would you? I mean,
our left fielder.
Gosh, that'd be amazing.
Delta said Roblox killing Little League stats.
We moved on from Roblox, thank goodness. Fortnite's at least more entertaining when I'm forced to watch it.
This happened to a former producer I had, Pete Hoffman, who's over at WFAN. All of these charges started coming in on his credit card that he didn't know where they were coming from. And it was this kid got his wallet and started buying stuff for Roblox. The in-app upgrades.
Roblox and Animal Crossing, that was half my budget went to Animal Crossing, which is like Roblox. The saddest moment, by the way, I was thinking about how bad the team around him is. They were playing this team, it was good. And they moved Jake from shortstop to left field because they're like, wow, this team's just hitting it out of the infield. Anyway, it should be fun tonight. I can't wait to hear about this. Give us a box score. Bogusch keeps score, like old school.
Yeah, actually, thankfully for this one, I do not have to keep the book, but I'll give you a full rundown tomorrow. We'll do the 9 to 10 hour. We'll close the show within a full breakdown.
Cap says that Perloff's putting in a DraftKings bet. Jay, that's why you want the scouting report.
Little inside info.
Yeah.
Who's pitching?
All of a sudden, you're the Alabama baseball coach and going to be in a ton of trouble.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Bet the over.
Yeah, maybe behind the snack shed at Floral Park #2 tonight. I'll give you the inside scoop.
Not number 1, number 2.
Number 2, make sure.
Number 1, you get shivved. Number 2, you get a bet.
Right. There is still money to be spent in the NBA. The Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell, reportedly shaking hands on a 3-year, $150.3 million max extension. The last season's a player option. Mitchell could now make $185 million over the next 4 years. If soccer had a Pete's Mad board, it would definitely have Greg Berhalter on it, the U.S. men's soccer coach overseeing a 1-0 loss to Uruguay and Kansas City, coupled with Panama's 3-1 win over Bolivia.
Panama.
The Americans failed to survive the group stage of Copa America.
Bitterly disappointed with the results. We know that we're capable of more. And in this tournament, we didn't show it. It's really as simple as that.
Berhalter was asked as well post-match if he remains the best person to lead this group, and he said a non-confident yes.
Maybe?
The U.S. Soccer
How about just say no?
Federation.
Then get your stuff and get out of there.
No, I don't feel confident at all.
Do we think that Ryan Botcher knows who the song Panama is by?
Oh, come on. I'm not that dumb.
Botcher knows his music.
Really?
Oh, no.
EJ would not have known that in 1,000 years.
Okay, so Botcher, we had asked this question on our call yesterday, not about Panama, about something else, and Botcher knew it. So obviously, Ryan, it's by...
It's Van Halen.
Van Halen.
If you want to know the singer, it was David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
I mean...
In your face.
What was it that EJ had not heard of yesterday?
Okay, so
Fleetwood Mac.
Right, so yesterday we were on a call. No, it's not that he hadn't heard of Fleetwood Mac. It was you brought up the story that Travis Kelce...
Oh, right. Travis Kelce hung out with Stevie Nicks in Dublin. And
Taylor Swift.
Well, obviously. Yes. So, and Maggie's, food. I said, isn't it funny that the tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs is off overseas hanging out with Stevie Nicks? And you said, well, I wonder how much he really knows about Stevie Nicks.
I said, do you think Travis Kelce knows who Stevie Nicks was?
Yeah, and I'm like... Well, I think Travis Kelce's a big pop music fan, honestly.
But that's pop music from the 70s.
Yeah, but I think like 70s and 80s music is popular amongst like people who like pop music. Like everyone knows, I think he would recognize a Fleetwood Mac song.
Anyway, so EJ's not here to defend himself, but I said, do you think that Travis knows who Stevie Nicks is? Said EJ and Ryan, you're the youngest people on this call. Do you know who Stevie Nicks is? And EJ did not know what band she was in, and Ryan was insulted.
Yes.
I mean, do you think EJ would have known Van Halen?
Obviously, Fleetwood Mac.
He should.
Does anyone here think he would have known Panama by Van Halen?
I hope so. I would guess yes.
I'm gonna split hairs. He knows them individually. I don't know that he knew that Van Halen sang Panama.
Also, I don't think Panama is their biggest song.
No,
really.
Jump is their favorite song.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, they have a couple songs that are probably bigger than Panama, but it's a pretty big song. But I don't think he has any idea.
Also, that's the whole thing about should you know about music from like way before you're born. I think or not way before, but before you're born. It's like seeing old movies and stuff. Like,
I think you should know
that stuff.
Yes. I can't believe how the younger generations know nothing that happened before them. It's shocking to me.
Okay, but I know you don't know the stuff now.
But I knew Buddy Holly from 1955.
Yeah, or like Casablanca. Things. Like you just pick things up by being alive.
Okay,
yeah,
but I don't know certain things now.
Like what?
Well, I mean, basically I needed a Rosetta Stone to decipher the Kendrick Drake beef. I needed some serious help to get through that one.
So did I.
Does that make me
if you walked on the street, you heard about you could not avoid that Kendrick Drake thing. For example, we all know about that. Yeah,
there's certain famous people I'm like, I've never seen this person before.
But they're not really famous.
Okay. Like there'll be times like younger famous people. I've just not Hawk to a girl. I'm familiar with her work, but other young famous people.
Oh, I
don't know.
I totally know what you mean, but I think younger people now do not know the past like we knew the past. I could be totally wrong about that, but I feel like the 50s, like everyone knew the stuff in Happy Days.
I felt like there was a sense of when I was growing up, to learn that stuff from the past, for more knowledge and looking forward to the future. That's how I did it. I always tried to learn stuff from the 70s, 60s, wherever.
Well, I know, but it's like, what are you learning? Are you learning Watergate scandal, or are you learning Happy Days? Like, some of this knowledge is more important than others.
We're learning about St. Elsewhere. We're learning about Happy Days. We're learning about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's not Watergate, Iran-Contra, any of that stuff. For sure.
But there's like no doubt you would know like who Marvin Gaye was or something, like these iconic 50s and 60s people, where I feel like, I don't know, certain.
But knowing Van Halen's catalog isn't it just enough to know who they are, or to know that Stevie Nicks was in Fleetwood Mac? Do you have to know?
I feel like there's a lot of
dreams. No.
Maybe it's me, but there's a lot of Gen Zers who don't even know like the basics about like the music. They don't really care about what happened 30 years ago.
I agree.
Maybe I'm totally wrong. Where it's like, I kind of like, when I grew up, like classic movies were such a big thing, like the movies from before, like old movies. Like, and I think you were that way too. Like you were 2 when Caddyshack, or whatever, when Caddyshack came over, but you've probably seen it 50 times.
Right? The classics.
I think lacking cable TV is a big reason why, too.
This is a good test. This is a good one. The Honeymooners.
Yeah, I mean, like,
who knows it now?
I mean,
that's really
I don't even,
old now, though.
But it's still like, it was old when I was a kid. It was on all the time. It's still on all the time. Right. It's on like Channel 11 right now.
I don't think our point is they should know about the Honeymooners. They should know what is the new version of the Honeymooners. Like, I think EJ didn't know like who Foo Fighters or Dave Grohl or Nirvana was, like, or didn't know that Dave Grohl was in Nirvana. Like, he should know. You should know that if you're EJ's age.
What about like All in the Family?
No, there's a new All in the Family. Like, you
the
should
90s.
know that Roseanne existed, not the Connors.
Right.
Like, or you should know what Friends
okay, I'll give you
Seinfeld
one.
reference
Pete,
is.
I'll give you one that surprised me. And this is Maggie, too. They didn't know what WKRP in Cincinnati was, really.
No clue.
It's raining turkeys.
That's
It's
sacrilegious.
raining turkeys. That's what I said. Like, it's all over.
I didn't know that. I'd never heard of it.
If you're in the radio business, you should have an idea.
Oh, no, I disagree with that. It was, I mean, we're in sports talk radio. WKRP was a news station.
I'll stand corrected. If not, you should at least go and see it.
Here's what I think the big difference is. We grew up flipping through cable, watching the same movies over and over again. Now, the way people consume entertainment is much more specialized.
Well, yeah, why would you sit around and watch an episode of The Honeymooners, or when we watch Nick at Night, like Mr. Ed or Bewitched or The Addams Family or whatever those shows were on, when you could just watch whatever latest Marvel movie? Like, when I look at Disney Plus or any of those, the movies just go on forever.
Well, the horse talks
exactly.
on Mr. Ed.
The horse did talk. I used to watch like the Three Stooges.
Yeah, we were forced.
Now I feel so old saying
we were forced to watch crap when we were younger. Like, we were forced to.
Which was on my TV, and I had 4 channels.
The younger generation has no idea what it's like to have to watch Three Stooges, which was I never found funny at all. And I was like, well, it's on. I guess I'll watch it. Exactly. You're exactly right.
The Three Stooges is always funny. I mean, it's never not funny to see someone get poked in the eye.
It's the exact opposite of funny. It's mean. It is
no thanks.
It's shockingly unfunny. I have always had this argument, like, oh my God, like what's the humor here? This is just abuse. This is physical abuse of a friend.
I've walked around hitting people with paint cans my whole life. You're telling me that's not funny?
It's like so mean. I'm like, they are bullying this poor guy. What are they doing?
They're equal opportunity. They all bully each other. That's
not
the beauty
really.
of
It's the guy with dark hair is bullying the guy with curly hair.
Yeah,
it's not equal
Larry,
opportunity. Nobody bullies Mo.
Well, he's the leader.
Yeah, he's the bully.
He still gets hit though.
You guys don't find that like exceedingly mean? I don't like that at all.
We sound so old right now. I don't want to presume that EJ, who's not even here to defend himself because his patella's ripped in half, he's not in the wrong.
No, you could say like I know the impact of Charlie Chaplin on the film industry. That doesn't mean like you were like 16 watching Charlie Chaplin. Like it just knows that you need to know the history of the medium.
Okay, but I think that people get mad at me because I don't know about Marvel stuff and I don't watch it and I'm like kind of bowed out of it.
Right? You don't know the backstory, but you kind of know who's in it.
Okay, I don't really. And the references and all that stuff, like now I do because I had to watch one for a bet. And by the way, who's not in those Marvel movies? The cast is everyone who's famous.
Right, but like you do know that, what's his name, was Iron Man.
Yeah, Robert
Downey was Iron Man. You know that.
Right.
Like you know there's been 14 Spider-Mans. Like 25 years from now, you'd be in a conversation. You might not know what happened in the third Avengers movie, but you know that the Avengers existed.
Okay,
people who are like, what's Marvel? That's not you.
No, I think that's a badge of honor for you, and I like that you're so proud of that. But there's like the current Gina Rowlands. You guys know she's an actress. You may or may not know her. Gina Rowlands. She got nominated for Oscars in the 70s, 80s. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's the other day. Really sad story. ABC News puts out a tweet saying Gina Rollins, who you probably know from The Notebook, ignoring the fact that she starred in 30 films and was nominated as Best Actress twice. Because they're like, oh, but you probably saw her in The Notebook. Like the dumbing down of who history is. It's insane to me. Right, Bilotti? You got me.
Look, I want to know this stuff in pop culture, especially. I think it's just fascinating. And I don't understand how many people don't have the time for it.
Thank you. Put that on the board.
All right, here's one from Dylan. The reason young people now don't know old music is because there's simply way more to know now. You only knew 10 artists in each genre back in the day, but I could show you 100 known pop artists currently. We consume way more media much faster now because of the ease of access.
Yeah, the splintering of all that's absolutely true. Because there's way too much out there. It's hard to keep track. I mean, you should watch Marvel if you want to know what's going on. But
also,
regardless.
GG says Perloff needs to rewatch The Three Stooges. The writing was very funny. A lot of the slapstick was well planned.
Writing?
It's great.
Well, who has to write?
Dialogue?
I'm going to just hit this guy with a plank. Sorry, it's not exactly The Simpsons.
WWE has better writing than that.
Abbott Costello had better writing than The Three Stooges from back then.
If you say so.
All right, there we go.
Should have said that for tomorrow. That would have got us a half an hour.
No, we'll bring it back.
Okay, good.
We'll bring it back.
Coming up next, thank you so much for that. We have a something to make EJ feel better. EJ is our executive producer. He's laid up right now.
He lost Isaiah Hartenstein from the Knicks. He's in a bad place.
Yeah, I took a personal day because Isaiah Hartenstein is now at the Oklahoma City Thunder. No, he wishes. Unfortunately, he got injured in our kickball game on Saturday. Kind of very seriously injured. So we have something to make him feel better next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I was either coming back with this or Panama.
By the way,
By Van Halen.
we were talking about Stevie Nicks, and you play a Lindsey Buckingham Fleetwood Mac song. What's the matter with you?
That's also insulting to Stevie.
And this, by the way, this song is a diss song. I heard a whole podcast on this. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks got divorced. They both wrote songs about how much they hate each other, and this was how much I hate Stevie Nicks. You could go your own way.
Yeah. You know, what did Stevie Nicks write about Lindsey Buckingham?
She wrote Silver Spring for one, which is devastating. Yeah. And she wrote like 4 other songs like "You Were the Worst Husband Ever, You Cheat on Me, I Hate You." And then they had to perform each other's songs. It's totally awesome. So she has to sit there on stage and she's doing background "You Can Go Your Own Way," which is talking about her.
They had a crazy relationship.
Yeah, and that's why EJ should have known that.
We don't know. So EJ's not here because EJ tore his patellar tendon playing in a charity kickball event on Saturday. You may have heard about it. Now, our very own Andrew Caplan, speaking of songs, wrote a song about EJ and his injury.
Stand by you in highs and lows, waiting for the day you rise and glow away, chasing all that has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush.
Beautiful. Just gorgeous. Thank you to Andrew Caplan. He's the maestro on all of our AI-generated songs.
I mean, honestly, that was pretty much the same as any song on Taylor Swift's new album.
I wasn't sure if that was live from London or wherever she is.
I'm never ever say an unkind word about Andrew Caplan because he will destroy me on social media with some funny gif. But I don't quite get I'm not sure I get the lyrics there.
Well, we can't play the whole song, but
there's
it was
more.
just an excerpt of the song. Ryan had to strategically choose some, and then I asked him to even cut that down a little bit more. So
we stand in solidarity because he can't.
Right.
Oh, is that the line?
That's kind of like it.
Here you go. Feel better.
Yeah. We stand in solidarity because he can't.
Caplan said, speaking of musical geniuses, you could say it. Yes, our own Andrew Caplan.
Yeah, Cap.
Right there with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac.
Cap sort of runs the social around here, and I noticed the only time he ever likes any of my tweets is if I say something nice about the Boston Celtics. That's it. That's the only time I ever get any reaction. I'll be like, the most brilliant thing about the show, nothing. Hey, I saw we signed Jaylen Brown. favorite immediately.
Well, Cap and I worked on some AI Peter Schwartz the other day.
No.
Songs, which we'll slowly roll out when Peter's back here.
Is it better than actual Peter Schwartz? I'm not sure you need an AI upgrade for that.
How do you improve on perfection?
I think one of them is, at least.
And he's doing an update?
No, he's singing.
Oh, love it.
Do you want to hear it?
Got a song about it? Like to hear it?
It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. Every specimen. Tall, blonde, dark, and lean. Rough and tough and strong and mean.
I don't know what to do with that.
If I can see Peter Schwartz dancing to It's Raining Men at like a wedding or something. I feel like he's on the dance floor for that. Amen.
I don't know.
Like after with his wife.
Specimen.
You really have that in your brain right now? Peter Schwartz dancing to It's Raining Men at a wedding?
I think if he's already on the dance floor, he's sticking around for It's Raining Men. I don't think he's at his seat and then It's Raining Men comes on. He's like, ooh, I got to get to the dance floor. But he's not going. He's not sitting down.
I don't know how your mind got to this place.
Just think about it.
Well, at least until the first course is out there.
This is a scenario in my wildest dreams I would not have come up with.
Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Fantastic job. Thank you to Peopleati. Fantastic job. Andrew Bogusch. Andrew Caplan. Bogusch is going to be with Perloff tomorrow. Caplan on the 1s and 2s. EJ, we love you. Jay-Z Schwartz, says Delta.